Hello, and welcome to episode 9 of season 5 of The Sausage Factory. As you know, The Sausage Factory is just a bunch of guys sitting around talking about movies. I'm your moderator, Pizzal. With me tonight, I've got the legendary Rambo Raff. What's going on, Rambo?
Hello there. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Also with me tonight is Jay the Stingray. How you doing, Stingray?
Hello, Swag. What's up, guys? Doing good tonight.
What are we drinking tonight, Stingray?
Let's see. This is Great Value French Roast, Great Value Breakfast Blend, and Dark Magic.
Wow. Hold up that mug again. That mug looked enormous.
It's 3 cups I could fit in here, so
Okay. That's a big mug.
it's probably bigger. There's compared to my head. I don't know if I have a big head or not, but
That's a big mug for sure. Also joining me tonight is Eric. How are you doing, Eric?
Hey, I'm doing great. In my new digs, ready to go.
Dude, far more. You're far more alive tonight. You're far more well lit tonight.
Well, that's the other good thing is that the lighting is better here. So rather than over the course of the show, like it becoming darker until I look like, Deep Throat or something, like I'm well lit. You can see me. I got to get a microphone to like hide the bottom of my face, like Mike or something. But for yeah, exactly. So for right now, I'm good. But yeah, you can see me.
Finally got out of the witness protection program. That's good.
That's right.
Good.
That's right. I work at a hardware store now. Can't really be more specific than that.
yeah.
Somewhere in the Midwest, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Somewhere. We're expecting a couple more people to join us. They'll be here soon, hopefully. But how have you guys been? Have you seen any new movies lately?
New movies.
Or how about this? How about any movies? Because if you're like me, you're very behind. I'm really behind on. We're like gearing up for like the summer movie season's already practically here, and I'm already behind Get Out and Logan, and Kong Skull Island comes out this weekend. So I mean, I've got some catching up to do.
Yeah, I'm hoping Logan stays out long enough until the end of the month. My parents will be in town, so we'll finally have someone to watch our kid, so we can see Logan. That's at the top of my list. I want to see that really bad. Mm-hmm. In terms of the newest movie I saw isn't really a new movie. I finally got to see Doctor Strange. Mm-hmm. From before, when I couldn't get a babysitter, I didn't ever get to see Doctor Strange when it was in the theater. And when it came out, we got it off Amazon, and I liked it. I thought it was pretty decent. It seemed really short to me, but I don't know if maybe I don't know. Maybe my mind was wandering.
I missed that one as well. So
yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
The thing I liked about it the most is that while it technically existed in like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it did a really good job of like really separating itself. And I know the movie's been picked on for basically being like Iron Man, but with a sorcerer instead of a guy who builds a suit. And I guess that's a fair criticism. Basically the same character, but in terms of like the visuals and the world and everything, I thought it was just a really nice change of pace. Like it was really cool. Some of the visuals, some of the like the action scenes, and just the concept of the magic that they were talking about. Really cool. So yeah, just nice change of pace. I thought they did a good job with it.
Yeah, there's definitely a few moments in that seemed like an acid trip.
Yeah, I was thinking that like if you just take a little bit of LSD and watch that movie, you got a hell of a night ahead of you.
Oh wow!
Like there's one scene that made me think of the ending of 2001: A Space Odyssey. I don't know.
I think I know what you're talking about. But.
Yeah, there's certain going in the mind sort of.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy, but it's pretty good too.
Yep.
It's just unfortunately, like a lot of Marvel, the villain is forgettable,
which is really a waste because Mads Mikkelsen is awesome. Like again, if you've seen Hannibal, and if you haven't, highly recommend that. But it just seems like a waste of that actor. Like that guy can do so much, and you're right. Marvel still the only good villain they have is Loki. At least decent. Watchable villain. Everyone else is kind of just, I'm going to destroy the world for whatever reason. The only reason that Jeff Bridges is any good as a villain in the original Iron Man is because it's Jeff Bridges. It's like
Right.
his acting elevates that role to something more that a lesser actor, it would have just been, ho hum, paint by numbers, I'm going to take over your company and kill you kind of a thing.
Well, I said I'd go with James Spader because it's the Spader.
Right.
It's the
Well, see, and
Spader
that,
man.
yeah, and that I give credit to that too, because I'll be honest, I'm not one of the haters of Avengers Age of Ultron. I actually, while I definitely understand some of the complaints, I didn't like despise that movie like a lot of people did, and that's fair too. Like I think James Spader probably breathed more life into that character that a lesser actor or someone maybe not as talented as him would. He would have just been a paint by numbers CG villain or whatever.
Yeah. I thought Ronan from Guardians of the Galaxy was kind of an interesting villain because he was what's the word I'm looking for? He had the courage of his convictions. He didn't just want to like destroy the world. He wanted to destroy a very specific world for the vengeance for his father who was killed trying to get vengeance for his grandfather. And I don't know, I thought he was kind of an interesting villain.
His motivation, you're right in that. You're right in the sense that his motivation was not like, oh, I'm going to rule the universe. It was this very specific, like, I'm going to go F these people up. I would say that it was another case, though, of like wasting a really good actor because Lee Pace is great. By the way, another Hannibal connection because he played Red Dragon on that show. But he unfortunately, I think maybe it's because of the makeup or maybe just a lot of the movie is spent with the Guardians and then the main villains like bad guys after them. He doesn't get a ton to do. Like he has like that cool scene where he basically tells Thanos to go F himself, but other than that, like he gets the fun bit at the end where when Star-Lord starts like dancing at him. It's like, what are you doing? Like that was kind of a nice like break in the character. But yeah, so I mean, again, I give credit that he had some unique qualities, but it's a fair complaint about the Marvel movies that their villains are with rare exceptions, they're not great.
Yeah, and that's funny because I think Marvel has the most recognizable villains.
Right.
DC has the ultimate villain with the Joker, but Marvel has the more well-known overall villains, but they're kind of, I don't know, those movies seem so overpowered by the heroes. And then when you put the Avengers together, you've got a whole group of heroes, or even like Guardians of the Galaxy, you've got this whole group of heroes. Yeah. And, they just sort of overshadow the villain a little bit.
It's kind of like the reverse Burton Batman, where Burton was so enamored with like the villains, with the Joker, with it like the Batman's almost a guest star in those movies. Again, credit to Michael Keaton for making that Batman what it was, but you're absolutely right in that the heroes definitely overshadow the villains, and that's why when a character like Loki comes along, a testament to Tom Hiddleston's performance, like he stands apart. Like he really gives, Chris Hemsworth and heck, Anthony Hopkins, like he holds his own with Anthony Hopkins, which is a testament to him, someone to, share the screen with and really kind of like fight for that control. It's the problem is that because like the Fox Marvel movies, the X-Men movies, they do a good job because Magneto is, a magnetic villain. He's the kind of villain you want where, yes, he's doing bad things and yes, he's going to do horrible things like in the name of his goal, but you kind of get where he's coming from. He's got the right backstory that you sympathize with him. And I think any good like hero villain contest, you don't, to have some sympathy for the villain or at least understanding where he's coming from, I think that helps.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Well, we've not seen any new movies, really. Have we seen any older movies that you guys want to mention that are that were noteworthy?
I've been watching a lot of Bill Paxton stuff. So I watched Twister, Apollo 13, Navy SEALs, and The Vagrant. which
Oh yeah.
is definitely a fun, quirky, weird movie with him and Michael Ironside and Marshall Bell.
Yeah. A tornado is like the finger of God. I love that.
I need to rewatch The Vagrant. It's been a long time since I've seen that, but I need to rewatch that. What about you, Stingray?
Let's see. I watched a movie called Joysticks. Y'all ever heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard of that.
I don't know. What's it about?
From '83, man. It's right up your alley, Piz. It's like a sex comedy about this video arcade.
Huh.
Awesome. That sounds
It's
good
on-
to me.
It's on Amazon Prime.
Oh, cool.
So you guys can check it out on there. Tons of nudity, but the women are not exactly who you would like to see nude.
They're 80s women nudes.
Yeah,
Is that what
well,
you're saying?
yeah. They're. I mean, yeah. I'll just leave it at that. But no, it's a really fun movie though. Really a lot of. I mean, super cheesy and just so 80s.
Awesome. I'm gonna write that down.
Isn't that like Joe Don Baker or someone is in that? Or
Oh my God. Mitchell?
someone like that. I forget who.
Let me look it up. You very well could be right, man.
I feel like I saw another movie too, but I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh,
Yeah, Joe Don Baker. You're right.
Okay.
I'm
love
sorry.
that.
Go ahead, Eric.
I love that guy. Oh no, I was just gonna say the only I finally saw 13 Hours, the Benghazi movie with John Krasinski.
Yeah.
And I was actually impressed by it. Similar, I think Cameron had like a similar view on the movie, that he was really surprised by how like restrained Michael Bay was in that movie. There's definitely Michael Bay touches, but I liked it. I actually dug it a lot. I thought it was a pretty darn good movie.
Yeah, if Cameron hadn't said it was so good, I probably wouldn't have watched it.
He's kind of what convinced me to do it too. So yeah, I credit to him.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it as well. You wouldn't know it's a Michael Bay movie, really.
Yeah, that's what I kept hearing about. It was like it's really good. No, people are like, no, it's a Michael Bay movie, but it's really good. It's really good. And like like what Eric said, it's a restrained Michael Bay, and apparently nobody wants to see a restrained Michael Bay because the movie totally tanked. So
it's like the Michael Bay, it's restrained Michael Bay, but it's still there because there's like a part where like John Krasinski just like wanders out of his wherever he was staying and he's like shirtless, and holy crap did that guy get ripped for that movie. But he's just kind of like standing there glistening, like the sun is like reflecting off of his muscles, and I was like, there's Michael Bay. Okay, I see it right there.
That's the Michael Bay I know.
Yeah. And then there's like another scene where like the other dude, I can't remember his name, but he was the speaking of Marvel villains, he was the villain, one of like the subordinate villains in Iron Man 3, one of the extremist guys. He's one of the other dudes, and there's just this like workout scene with him where he's like in like ass shorts and like no shirt, and he's just like lifting giant barbells and running through stuff, and it
so
makes
even a restrained Bay,
yeah,
it still the Bay-isms have to come through.
Yes, they're definitely there for sure.
Just when you think you can forget that this is a Michael Bay movie, then you've got like glistening pecs and guys in like tidy whities pumping iron, and so like we're watching a Bay movie.
And sometimes the Bay movies too get like maudlin in their emotion, and I actually thought the emotion was earned in that movie. Like kind of at the end when kind of the denouement for those characters, I felt myself getting a little choked up from some of those moments. So it felt like it earned its emotion rather than, I think in some of his other films he just he finds the right music and gets people crying, and he's trying to like ape emotion and it's not really there. But again, good movie. Just my summary was thanks to Cameron that he convinced me. I like Jay. I wasn't sure I was gonna ever check it out because also too I was worried it was gonna be like overly politicized or that there'd be some kind of point of view there, and it was pretty matter of fact. I thought it didn't. I clearly have a point of view about all that, but the movie was fairly like straightforward in what it was showing you, I think.
Cool. Well, speaking of, you guys mentioned Joe Don Baker earlier. I actually watched a. It's sometime in the early '80s, It's a horror comedy, kind of like Student Bodies,
Yeah.
but it's called Wacko. It's got Joe Don Baker in it. It's got
George Kennedy.
George Kennedy.
Yeah,
It's
I've
got
heard of that. Yeah.
oh God, what's his name? The comic. Oh gosh, Hickory Dickory Dock.
Oh, God.
nice.
Oh my gosh, that guy.
Andrew Dice Clay.
Andrew Dice Clay's in it. Yeah, he plays a character. He plays a character called Tony Schlongine, and he has his own theme song in the movie.
Oh
And
god.
it's just hilarious. It's hilarious.
Is it a theme song like the Cops theme song from Halloween 5, like that kind of thing? Or
No, it's Tony Schlongine, Tony Schlongine. But it's actually got a pretty good cast in it, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm checking this out. It looks pretty solid.
And it's just so crazy and out there, and it's not good, but it's entertaining. It's entertaining.
Those are some of the best movies.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever been released on like DVD. I think I looked it up, and it did have like a DVD release that was long out of print, but it was it's a wacky movie. It earns the name Wacko. So, and I watched a since we were talking about TV movies this week, there was a TV movie I've wanted to watch for a long time that Wes Craven had directed. This was after Last House on the Left and Hills Have Eyes, called Summer of Fear. Have you guys heard of Summer of Fear?
No.
It's got Linda Blair in it.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. Something to
How have I not seen that?
It was
Witchcraft.
Yeah, it was originally called I think Stranger, or no, I don't remember. I think it may have originally been called Stranger in the House, and it premiered on like NBC.
Stranger in Our House. Yeah.
And it did so well that it got a theatrical run under the name Summer of Fear.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and it's got Linda Blair in it. It's not bad. I wouldn't say it's great, but it's one I wanted to see for a long time, because that's the movie that kind of bridged the gap between, the Last House on the Left years and like getting into the Nightmare on Elm Street kind of years. So
It says that Fran Drescher is in that movie.
That's Fran Drescher's debut, as a matter of fact.
This is back when Fran Drescher was extremely hot now. So
She was cute for a while there.
She's easy on the eyes in that movie. I'll give her that. She's easy on the eyes in that movie.
Like Spinal Tap error.
Oh, that's true. Yep, that's true. Yep.
Nice.
Anybody seen anything else that they want to mention?
Talking about war movies, I saw Hacksaw Ridge.
Ooh, what'd you think?
The big Mel Gibson return. I really liked it. I was telling the guys before the show started. It's if you like war movies, definitely check it out. But otherwise, I'd say you can skip it. But it is kind of like Pizzell described it. It's got a lot of build up, and the war scenes actually is not that long. It kind of reminded me of Full Metal Jacket in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
That it's almost like two completely separate movies. You can kind of look at it that way, because it's all the build up, and then it's immediately into the shit, and then you're in the shit for the rest of the movie.
Right.
But based on a real guy who refused to even hold a firearm, which is really an odd idea. But he was a complete pacifist, I think, whatever the terminology they used to describe himself. But I forget the terminology they used to describe him, but he was the first guy.
Conscientious objector?
There you go. That's it.
Okay.
He was the first one of those guys to ever get the Congressional Medal of Honor.
Nice.
So
I've heard when it kicks in, it's like super incredibly violent.
It's it's like a budget of like 40 million, something like that. And I thought it looked great. I mean, it looked like it was much more expensive than that. The war stuff, and it's in Japan, and I don't really think there's been a lot of movies made about that part of the war.
Right.
Other than Letters from Iwo Jima, and maybe a handful of others, but usually it's from the other side. on like Normandy or somewhere. But
Yeah.
really, a really interesting story and a great movie. What's the guy? The guy from Swingers.
Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, Vince Vaughn is in it. You're like, where the fuck has Vince Vaughn been? He shows up and he does a pretty damn good job in the movie. So
he needed a win because people dumped all over him after oh crap, I can't think of the name of the HBO show that the second season sucked.
Oh yeah,
True Detective.
True Detective, yeah. And a lot of people laid the blame at his, like, they just thought he was terrible in it. So I'm glad that
I saw the first episode of season 2 and it didn't really do anything for me, and I didn't watch anymore, and I didn't really miss it. But I loved the first season. I mean, I ate up the first season. I loved it.
Yeah. Grabbed you right from like the first moment. Yeah, season 2 didn't do that. It had some decent moments, but it didn't it wasn't worth the journey, would be my assessment.
Mm.
yeah, I mean, you follow up, Woody Harrelson and the other dude with Vince Vaughn and
Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell, man, come on.
I liked the idea of them trying to do something completely different, like rather than just make a sequel of that, like, tell a different kind of cop story. I like, it's one of those things, like, I feel like I'm always the person taking this position where I always respect the boldness of trying to go a different direction, even if they failed in their execution. And that's kind of how I feel. Like, I respect that they tried to do that they didn't just want to make a clone of season 1. That said, I wish it had come together a little bit better because, you're right. I think the reason that they had like the big sprawling cast is because they knew they couldn't match Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson. So let's have a bigger cast and try and tell like a more complex, like crime corruption story. And it just didn't pan out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching some looper videos on YouTube about why Hollywood won't cast Vince Vaughn anymore.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, Vince Vaughn, what the hell is he doing these days? He's making Hacksaw Ridge.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of series taking bold moves, has any of you guys signed the Jason Goes to Hell, the Final Friday Director's Cut petition?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it reached over the 2,000 that it needed, so or whatever it was. So
I haven't, man, just because I've never seen those petitions ever amount to anything.
Yeah,
that's
I
right.
haven't taken the trouble, but I've signed quite a few in my day, but I've never seen them do anything.
Yeah.
That movie is just such a cluster that I just want to see what else is, what are these other things? Because I always remember from the commercials for Jason Goes to Hell, there's always that one shot of that weird demon-looking thing. And I remember when I saw the movie the first time, I was like, well, wait a second, where's that guy? Like, was that cut out of the movie? Was that Jason? So it's just one of those things where, they use stuff in the marketing that doesn't make it into the movie, and it's always like a big secret, like what happened to it. That movie especially.
Yeah, that one, that was supposed to be at the end of the film when Jason's being pulled down. These demons were going to come out and try to either attack the lead guy or try to pull Jason down.
Yeah.
But in the finish it was just a bunch of hands because it didn't have
big rubber hands.
Finish it. Yeah.
Big rubber, yeah. I don't. I signed it. I've personally I've never seen one of those petitions do anything either.
Right.
And it just reminded me of the John Carl Buechler petition that he had going around in the early was it the early I think it was the early 2000s to try and get a director's cut of Part 7 because he has all the footage. He held on to all that footage.
Oh man, I'd love to see that.
I'd like to see that.
I'm sure there were probably, if 2,000 people signed this one, there was probably 5 or 10,000 signed that one, maybe more back in the day. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But Jean Carl Buechler hand delivered it to Paramount, to the executives, and they just said thanks, bye.
And what edited the hell out of it?
Fucking pair of pricks.
Like, I think that's the kind of thing that could be popular the way Halloween 6, the producer's cut was, where like Shout Factory ultimately figured out a way to release it. Like, there's a market of people who would buy that. Again, I'm raising my hand. I'm definitely one of them. I think you guys probably fit into that category too. There's a market for this stuff, and Paramount's, I don't get them, man, because they're the ones screwing the pooch on the new movie too. Like, I don't understand this. There's money to be had here. What are they doing?
Well, and really,
that's what they are.
Warner Brothers owns the rights to all the New Line Jason movies, so it would really be Warner Brothers making the decision. But Warner Brothers, I mean, I just don't. I mean, I don't see them. I see them looking back at it and going, okay, well, let's look up how much money did this movie make. Okay, it flopped. What were the reviews? Horrible. Do we want to waste, because we've got to pay somebody to put the thing together.
Yeah.
We've got to pay somebody to do the cover, the designs. We've got to do this, and this. Is it worth our time ultimately? Because really, I don't think it's about money so much as it is about time.
Mm.
And they've got all this other crap going on. They just don't care. They've got better things to do.
This is why I keep advocating for them to go back to what they were doing in the 80s, where, the kinds of directors and writers that they were getting were not like huge name, big name people. It's like these people kind of early in their career or sort of journeymen, giving it their best shot. And I think that's almost like a good way to cut your teeth, like make a Friday the 13th movie. And, you probably don't have to pay those guys as much. They're hungry for work. And again, I mean, I think, the Joe Zito, I always look at Final Chapter as just, that's probably my favorite Friday movie. Maybe I go between that and Part 6. But you look at either one of those, Part 6 or Part 4, you had these kind of middle grade directors who just threw a lot of creative energy into the movie. And I think it shows on screen. Mm-hmm. And again, how much did they pay those guys? They couldn't have paid them that much. And it was just, they had this whole farm system of people. I don't know.
But this is studio so stupid they think a Friday the 13th film needs to cost $20 million.
Right.
And they're like, nope, that's too much money. And it's like, it costs like $5 million. That's all it needs to be. It's just
I really don't get
$20 million.
I don't get. I mean, what's the harm in that? I mean, you're going to make that back. I mean,
without a doubt.
I don't get it. It makes no sense to me. Other than it's just not big enough scale. It's not enough money to care about in their eyes.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
That's probably most likely it. Cameron's joined us. How you doing, Cameron?
Doing well. Coming in on this Friday the 13th conversation, I see.
We were talking about the Jason Goes to Hell Director's Cut petition that's going around. Have you signed that petition?
No, I was always under the impression the unrated cut was the director's cut.
No. The director's cut. There's apparently a lot of footage that.
They won't restore that. There's a lot of unused there's a lot of unused special effects. They're not gonna go back and fix that up. I mean, your video, Piz, was one of the funniest things I've seen all week, and I mean, I think if people really want to, I think what we should do is do a Kickstarter. Sausage Factory presents a new Friday the 13th film. We'll shoot it in the snow in Kentucky, and it'll be awesome.
I'm on board.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. It'd probably be better than anything Paramount could make.
Why not? I read both the Friday the 13th 2017 scripts, and
I felt your pain when you explained those.
Yeah. Well, actually, I actually got I'd given up on the Aaron Guzikowski one, and actually today 2 different people sent it to me today. Like, I don't know if it officially leaked today online or what, but 2 different people sent it to me today, and I read it, and I was just going like, it's so busy. It's 94 pages, 3 different killers, characters that you could just care less about.
I've already lost interest.
Why don't another way they could go, and of course they won't go because this is logical, is there's a new fad right now. It hasn't really taken off yet, but there's a new kind of trend in Hollywood where instead of doing a sequel, keep going, they try to find a spot in the continuity to create an alternate timeline, right? I mean, they could easily just veer off from 6 and just continue the Tommy Jarvis story and just,
bring back Feldman. I'd be on board for that. Show me that movie.
He'd be on board for that.
Well, he'd be bored, but I don't know. I just think that'd be a fun movie. That'd be a good time.
I mean, when the other day, there was a bunch of YouTube videos talking about how Simon Kinberg, who's affiliated with a lot of the Marvel stuff and on the Fox side and Disney. He said that all the X-Men movies are going to come together as one, and the continuity is going to reveal itself. And I kept thinking someone needs to do that for Friday the 13th and create an actual continuity where, you know, it doesn't, because by the time you get to part 5, it's supposed to be 30 years in the future, isn't it? I mean,
you know, it's what's interesting about that is I actually kind of like how, even though Fox didn't plan it this way, I actually kind of like how the X-Men continuity is somewhat loosey-goosey. And the reason I like it is because they actually made good stories from it. So obviously X-Men 3 was horrible. That first Wolverine thing they tried, whatever, Wolverine Origins was horrible. But then they kind of like went back in time to do like X-Men First Class.
yeah.
And originally it wasn't apparent that they were slotted in the original continuity, but they just made a good X-Men story.
But what I was trying to get at, Eric, was that the Friday the 13th continuity is just as loosey-goosey.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, like, I'm just giving them. Well, but that's the thing is, like, with Friday the 13th, you almost don't even need. You could do that, and you could reboot it, and you could do all these other things. How about you just make a do it Friday the 13th do Friday the 13th with like the concept that like Blair Witch did, and again, maybe make a better movie. But if you think about that movie, it's like originally you didn't even know it was a Blair Witch movie. It was just like it seemed like a scary movie in the woods.
Rambo just vomited in his mouth. I saw it.
Well, I know he did. Think concept, don't think execution. But I'm just saying, like, make a movie that it seems like, oh, it's just this nice family or these group of kids are just going out to their summer cabin, their winter cabin. It almost looks like it's being set up to be like a summer buddy comedy type thing. But then it like reveals itself, like you realize, you know, in the first act or whatever, holy crap, I'm in a Friday the 13th movie, like a real one.
Even do it like The Descent. I like to see Jason in a cave hunting a group of women like spelunkers around. That'd be pretty cool too.
Well, I mean, you could do like a little offshoot kind of thing, you know, like where, you know, tell the story of, you know, the part 3 Jason where, you know, he's trying to attack and rape that woman in the woods. You know, where did that fall into the timeline at? Let's talk about that little timeline. You know, let's have that Jason run around and do something. I mean, there's so much you can do while keeping it simple. And I don't know. It's just it's mind-boggling.
I think somebody on YouTube should do a YouTube series of what are the two? Is Junior and what's the mom's name in part 5?
Ethel.
That should be a comedy series on YouTube. You know?
Yeah, I would say that should a series. That should be like a series of vignettes or something about their life. I would watch that too.
Absolutely, I'd love that. Yeah.
I'm making your dinner.
Oh God. But I best of luck with the petition. You know, I know it's been circulated around social media and all the big websites have reported on it. And
is it change.org, right?
It's change.org, yeah.
So after 100,000, doesn't Donald Trump have to talk about it?
That's probably the only way it's going to happen, is if he's like, well, Warner Brothers isn't going to do anything Donald Trump tells them to. So unless Donald Trump buys the rights to that movie specifically, and then releases it himself on, Trump Entertainment Blu-ray, that's the only way it's going to happen.
Hey, if the Menendez were, destroyed Fright Night, Trump could save Friday the 13th.
You can only buy at the Trump Tower.
There you go.
Oh, there you go. It'd be like Gremlins 2. Jason takes on Trump Tower.
That would be awesome.
With all the FBI agents in there.
Hey, maybe it would actually be an opportunity to have him in New York for a change. That'd be good.
Ooh, bravo, Eric.
There you go. Good thinking. Well, and Friday or Halloween 2018. I'm starting to get a little trepidatious about it because Danny McBride and the other guy, crap, I forget his name. David Gordon Green.
Yeah.
They've people have been like getting little bits of information out of each of them, and like maybe they don't understand what a reboot is versus a reimagining versus all this terminology, but like one of them, like originally the idea was that it's going to be a direct sequel following Halloween 2.
Right.
Now they're saying one of them said it's going to be a reboot. The other one said it's going to be a reimagining. A reboot, a reimagining of what? A reboot of, I mean, where
reimagining of the reboot.
Yeah, no. What are we talking about? It's going to follow part 2, but it's going to be a reimagining or a reboot.
Here's what's going to happen: Danielle Harris is going to play Laurie, and Scout Taylor Compton is going to play Annie. They're going to just flip them. We're reimagining it, Piz.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're going to do a Blair Witch. That's a reboot, but that's a sequel.
I'm far more nervous about the Halloween thing than Friday the 13th because Halloween is like my favorite. I feel more protective about it. Whereas with Friday the 13th, I think because like we were already talking about, like because the series is all over the map already, which again, it's not like Halloween isn't, but I feel like there's just several things you could do with it. And I just want them to make another one. Like just get Jason in the woods with some kids, and just make it happen. Make it a good, fun time. Use the final chapter as your template and go. It's I don't think it's hard. I really don't. And you got to think it would almost be like reintroducing Jason at this point. How many people do you know, like especially of the age group that probably would go and see it, have actually seen a Friday the 13th movie before? You're not many.
But everybody knows Jason.
They know him for sure. But I think as long as you made an entertaining, vague, sort of scary, sort of funny movie, you'd get that audience, and then it would spur interest in the original series, and they could drive DVD sales or whatever.
I think. I mean, seriously, what this really comes down to, in my opinion, is it's about mood and texture. Because when it comes to Friday the 13th, I really don't give a shit what the story is. I just want to feel like I'm back at Camp Crystal Lake in the dark, walking through those woods.
Yep.
Halloween, same thing. I love all the Halloween movies, but one thing that I think the first one has over the others is that sense of it is a small town, right? Yeah. I know it's in Pasadena, but they made it look like a small town.
Yeah.
And when Loomis is just walking down the street looking at all the houses and the wind is blowing and the music's playing and stuff, it's so suggestive and just horrific that any of these houses could be have Michael Myers in it, right? Yeah. And none of the other Halloween films, as much as I love them, ever create that kind of that feeling, that mood that you're in Haddonfield. It's Halloween. None of the other films, in my opinion, actually feel like it's Halloween like the first movie does.
Oh, you don't like inbred dudes talking about getting skull fucked? That doesn't work for you? That's not the right mood?
Are we talking about my script? That's my script.
That's Stingray's Halloween script.
Yeah.
But what concerns me now is like it seemed like at first they had a clear idea of what they wanted to do and where they wanted it to go and where they wanted it to fit. And now it's like, it's a reboot. Oh, it's a reimagining. It's a remake. Oh, it's a reboot. It's a I don't know.
Script rewrites by Rob Zombie.
Oh God.
I hope not.
He'll be Seth Rogen as Michael Myers smoking weed.
Hey Rob, give us a treatment on this.
Well, real quick. I know it's probably not good to talk about other podcasts, but Mick Garris has created a podcast, and he's done 2 episodes, one with Joe Dante and John Landis, and one with Rob Zombie. And the one he did with Rob Zombie is really interesting because what the Weinstein brothers said to Rob Zombie is they wanted him to follow up Resurrection. And it was Rob Zombie's idea to reboot it, not theirs. He admits that. And I thought that was really interesting. I never knew that.
While I agree that was probably the right thing to do, especially given how horrible Resurrection is, what he did was somehow worse than a follow-up to Resurrection. Probably
he could have just ignored Resurrection.
Yeah.
Well, I like Mick Garris, and I like Mick Garris's podcast. Actually, Mick Garris was very close to being a guest on this show at one point.
Shut up!
I promise. I swear. Yeah.
I would lose my mind.
I had talked to him. I'd talked to him about coming on one of our Stephen King retrospective shows, and he was cool with it. He was right there with it, and then like probably a day or two. Like I wanted it to be a surprise to everybody, even you guys. Like him just pop up, And like, I think it was 2 or 3 days before he messaged me and was like, God, I'm really sorry, but I've had a change of schedule, and I just, I really apologize. Try me again later, and we'll definitely do something. But I mean, it would have been really cool.
Nice.
So, but yeah, he does really good. He's a really good interviewer. There's another series that's going to come out pretty soon where they talk to the big horror directors about the projects that didn't happen.
Oh man, awesome.
And that would be really cool. Like I saw like a little trailer of it, and they were talking to John Landis, and they were talking to George Romero, and just talking about projects that just they had worked on, it just didn't happen, or like I don't remember if it was Romero or if it was Landis, but they said basically for every movie that they had produced that actually was made, there were 5 that they'd worked on, that they'd gotten to some form of in the process, and then it just died.
That should be a Netflix series.
Yeah.
If they do, they gotta talk to John Carpenter about Shadow Company.
Oh, yeah. Oh god, yeah.
You
That'd
guys
be
are
so
for
cool.
Shadow Company, right?
Oh yeah. Cole's joined us. What's up, Cole?
Yeah, not much. I was debating whether to do this or not because I got nothing for this topic, man. My mind is completely blank. I'll just have to add to whatever you guys say because I can't think of anything.
Well, that's fine.
I confess that I'm a little light on this topic as well, but there are some TV movies that I know are like iconic, and I've seen them. I don't know that I have strong feelings about them, but
I know I've seen a lot of TV movies over the years, maybe even more than some of you guys when I think about it. It's just that I can't separate them or remember them and stuff, and a lot of them were when I was a lot younger.
You remember Duel, right?
Yeah, I own Duel, so
Well, that's
I never even saw that on TV. I just, but yeah.
Did you ever see Flintstones Go to Australia?
No, I haven't.
All right.
Did you ever see Saved by the Bell Hawaiian style?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Okay, then you've seen the best TV movie ever.
Yeah.
Oh my
was
God.
was Leah Remini in that one too?
I was going to say, I think that was the Leah Remini one, right?
That was Leah Remini.
Yeah, she was like the new love interest, wasn't she?
Yep.
Yep,
Yeah.
she was. Yeah.
Like her father owned the resort or some bullshit. Oh
it
man,
was,
it's all
it was a
coming
remake
back
of the
now.
Flamingo Kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, her father was played by this like fat dude character actor who's been in like a billion things, but I have no idea who he is.
Yeah.
Like
And
I've
this
seen like a lot of like softcore TV movies they used to run on like Showcase and Bravo
Yeah.
back in the day, but I
Yeah,
can't
right.
remember any of their titles mostly.
It doesn't
Okay.
matter.
Well,
We can
you can
get into
talk
that.
about those. That's fine. Before we dive into the topic at hand, there was one thing I wanted to mention I thought was funny today. I was having my car serviced at a dealership, and while I was sitting in the waiting room, they had the TV on, some awful daytime talk show, where you've got like this table full of women talking about how awful men are and about how awful everything is. And
Sounds good so far.
Yeah. It was a great time. And their guest was Tony Goldwyn.
Oh wow!
And so Tony Goldwyn comes out and he's talking, and one of the women is like, "So your very first job was in Friday the 13th, Part 6."
Nice.
And they put the poster up, and he
Where
was
did
like,
you get the research over them for that? I don't think that was just knowledge they had off the top of their head.
and he was like, "Oh my God, yeah, Friday the 13th, Part 6." He was like, "That was, he was like, that was fun. That was 2 weeks of night shoots in a Georgia swamp." And
2 weeks.
I think he said what? He may have just said 1 week. I don't remember. But anyway, either way, I mean, it seemed like a long time to shoot that scene with him in it.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, week or 2 weeks long. But he was like, "Oh, he was like, it's me and Jason, and I had this tiny little wussy gun," and he was like, "I lasted about 2 minutes." And he was like, "I was so excited though because that was my very first paid acting gig." And one of the women was like, "So this was your big break?" And he goes, "No, I didn't get work after that for years."
Wow.
Yeah. Then he was in Ghost.
Yep, then he was in
Yeah.
Ghost. Yep. So I thought that was kind of just out of nowhere. Like I'm just totally zoned out. Like, so Friday the 13th, Part 6. And I was like, what the heck? But yeah. Well, anyway, let's go ahead and dive into the topic at hand. That topic being favorite TV movies. And all you guys watching out there at home, if you want to share with us your favorite TV movies, do so in the comment section below or tweet at us at TSF Nation and let us know what your favorite TV movies are. And let's see, usually we get the thing started with the professor, but the professor's running a little late tonight. So why don't we get things started with Jay the Swagway. What's going on?
Why?
Excuse me. Yeah, I know a lot. There's a lot of big ones out there. I don't want to steal any thunder from anybody. So I'll start with Citizen X. This is a personal favorite of mine. I don't know if have any of you guys heard of this film?
Is that James Woods?
Mm-hmm.
Is it
No.
Is it about a Russian serial killer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chikatilo.
Yeah. I've seen it.
It's got Donald Sutherland in it.
Yeah.
And it's from '95, but I think maybe HBO put it out or something like that. So
I saw it only a few months ago. Again, yeah.
Decent stuff in there.
Yeah, it's about that real serial killer in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
It's on. I'm pretty sure it's on Amazon Prime too. It's actually. I think I've got it in my list. I saw it a long time ago. I remember really liking it though.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a good one. Donald Sutherland's doing his best to pull off some sort of a weird accent. But other than that lump of bullshit that comes and goes, it's a really solid flick, kind of a cat and mouse type tale.
Cool.
Yeah, it's cool because it's like it shows like how the Soviet regime at the time was so incompetent about catching him because like they didn't even want to admit there was a serial killer because they were saying, in their communist society, serial killers don't exist, and that's just something that exists like in the West and stuff. And there were numerous times where they could have caught him and they didn't, or they held him and let him go and stuff. And finally, they bring on some guy who's like a psychologist or something like that, because that's how it ends, right? Like, because he wanted to do a profile for them. And they're like, profile? That's garbage. But it turns out his profile was absolutely right. And then they have him, but they're like, we can only hold him for 48 hours. He's just like, let me interview him and I'll get him to confess. And he does, just by getting him to like talk about like his childhood or something. He starts crying and then confesses to the murders. It's cool because it was all real.
Nice.
I remember really liking it.
That was one that sprung to mind when we had this topic, and I've got a few more that I'll save in case anybody else wants to take them.
Okay, are you sure?
Yeah, because most of my other ones are pretty big ones. Well, I mean, I can go ahead if you want me to.
Give us one more, Stingray.
Okay. Well, this is one I watched. I watched again this afternoon. Trilogy of Terror.
Yeah.
It's just such a good movie, and I love that ending, man. It gets me every time. And rest in peace, Karen Black.
Oh yeah, yep. The Zuni doll.
Yeah.
I loved the sequel. That was like a USA original movie. It was so cheesy and like it's so fun though.
I don't think I've ever seen the sequel before.
You've got to.
I
It's
just
super
remember
cheesy.
the commercials like spammed you for like months before it came out. That I remember.
Yes, absolutely.
Nice.
It was fun though. It was pretty. John Ritter is in it. I don't think he's in the Zuni part of it. I'm trying to think which segment he's in. He may be like I think he may have been like the David Duke racist governor kind of character. No, I'm sorry. That was Corbin Burnson. I'm sorry.
Who's Corbin Burnson?
Who's Corbin Burnson?
I don't know that name.
Wow.
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 Wasn't he like in a horror film, The Dentist or something? Or
The Dentist, and like the Dentist 2 and 3.
You're wowing me for not knowing those? Give me a fucking...
He was in the Major League films.
He was in LA Law.
Didn't watch LA Law.
He was on Psych.
I don't know TV. That's why this is a problem.
Corbin Burnson is.
Don't worry, I just found a list, so this will help me.
Well, I put a great list up on the Twitter that was from Rotten Tomatoes. That is basically just a bunch of random ass movies that are not made for TV movies, but
Yeah.
They're like
pick from there because
most of mine are like TV specials.
I don't
which
understand.
I won't do. I won't do specials. So I'll try for actual movies. But I found some, so there you go.
Okay. So you're ready to roll then.
More or less. I guess. Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
good.
Wing it.
On the fly. Yeah.
So Stingray's Trilogy of Terror.
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right. We'll move on. And if nobody else touches on any of the movies on your list, we'll come back around to you.
Okay.
What do you got for us, Cameron?
Oh boy. Okay. Finishing my list right now. All right. Let's start big. The original Swedish Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Okay.
Because it played over here theatrically, but it was a TV movie over there.
Yeah.
I think that movie is pretty awesome.
Great.
It's not quite feature length, but some of those Masters of Horror episodes, particularly Incident on and Off a Mountain Road, I thought was one of the best horror films I'd seen in the last 20 years.
Who directed that one?
Don Coscarelli.
That's what I thought.
Which, by the way, for those of you who are interested in the Phantasm box set, the new box set by Well Go USA looks like it's going to blow arrows out of the water with all the special features that are on it.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's an HBO movie called Wit with Emma Thompson. It was directed by what the hell is his name? There's the guy that directed The Graduate, Mike
Nichols.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And yes, it's about cancer and horribleness, but it is profoundly moving.
What half of TV movies are about? I'd say about
Pretty much.
50% of TV
Rape
movies.
and daughters being sold.
Yes.
Yep.
For the kitsch factor, I want to go to a TV movie made in 1983 called The Haunted Mansion Mystery that starred Christian Slater as he was 8 years old, and also Tristan Skylar, who would be known as Tristan in Blair Witch 2. They play two little kids that sneak into a haunted mansion, supposedly, and try to look for lost treasure. It was kind of a favorite of mine when I was a little kid. And I know this is a very unpopular one, so I'll stop with this one right here. But I actually think that we were talking about Mick Garris earlier. I think that his direction, maybe not the whole thing, but I think his direction of the Shining miniseries is probably the best direction he's ever done. It's much more controlled than the last two episodes of The Stand. The Stand sometimes just goes loop-de-loo with its crazy visuals and stuff like that, but The Shining was much more precise in the way it was shot. And so, it's not very popular, but I think it's the most controlled movie he's ever made. And yeah.
They suck all the scary out of it, though. There's nothing scary in that version at all, if you ask me. They do everything
True to the book.
They make everything painfully ordinary.
Well, the kid is ugly, and it doesn't quite work, But I thought Rebecca De Mornay and Steven Weber is probably better as a better version of Jack and Wendy. And I remember telling this to Mick Garris once at a convention. He couldn't believe that I was even mentioning this, and I asked him, I said, when is this coming out on DVD? Because this was the late 90s, and he said it cannot come out on DVD until Stanley Kubrick dies.
Wow.
Because he had carte blanche with Warner Brothers. So right after Stanley Kubrick died, we got it dropped on DVD.
Huh.
So, yeah. So he had control over Mick Garris's movie when it came out on DVD.
Wow. Did you tell Mick Garris that kid was ugly?
No.
Ugly
No,
kid.
but I've talked to so many people who tell me they can't get through the Shining miniseries precisely because of that kid's open mouth. So
Wow.
Him in every Vince
Don't
Vaughn.
remember him. I need to look this kid up.
And then
that movie had weirdness where the shrubbery animals come alive.
Oh, yeah.
and if I'll just throw out one more for most of us are not kind of in our 30s and early 40s, and I think so you'll remember around 1991, 1992, there was a JFK conspiracy fever going on in this country after Oliver Stone's movie came out. So one of my favorites at that time was Helena Bonham Carter and Frank Wally did a movie for NBC called Mrs. Lee Harvey Oswald. and it was kind of cool to see her. But I was kind of pissed off at the time that all the Russian scenes were in English, because I was like going, they wouldn't be speaking English. But of course, this is an NBC Monday night movie. They're not going to do an entire movie in Russian. So
we ain't here to read, boy.
Didn't have any Russian speakers even on set.
There's a really interesting like faux documentary called Interview with, it's either Interview with the Assassin or Interview with an Assassin, and it's about interviewing the guy who claims to have shot Kennedy. And the conspiracy that he had sort of found himself in, and he was the gunman, and it's pretty good as I recall. You guys should definitely check it out if you're into that sort of thing. It's definitely worth checking out.
I tried to find titles that I didn't think any of you guys would bring up, so because I came up with some titles and I'm like, oh no, someone's definitely going to bring that up, and if you guys don't, then I'll bring it up. But I'm pretty sure you guys are going to bring this up. So
okay.
Yeah.
And to continue what you said about the We'll Go USA Phantasm set,
yes,
they pushed the release date back, but they're adding more content.
Yes, they are. And all the previous content that everybody on Blu-ray.com said, this will never be on the box set. It's confirmed, and there's going to be more. So
yeah.
So,
and I think they're only pushing it back like maybe a week or two. So I mean, it's not that long of a wait.
Gives me some time to raise some money.
There you go. Yeah, I think it's like $80. So I mean, yeah. Okay. Well, let's see. Rambo, what's some of your favorite TV movies?
Well, the first one that came to mind was.
Check this out.
Oh my god!
YOLO swag.
I was
That's
not prepared for that.
That's it.
I must have obliterated that from my memory.
Sorry, Rambo. That's what I've been cracking up at over here.
Oh man.
I can't beat that. The one that there's a few, but the one I thought of was the Night Stalker with Darren McGavin, which had a sequel, The Night Strangler, and then had for one season, a show I really enjoyed called Kolchak, The Night Stalker.
Yeah.
Which, of course, was Chris Carter, a big influence for him on The X-Files, and there's been some references to the character. Darren McGavin was in an episode. But yeah, really enjoyed the Night Stalker, really enjoyed the Darren McGavin character. Thought it had some really good dialogue and sort of fun, down-to-earth quality to the paranormal stuff. Like the first one was about vampire in Las Vegas, and then the sequel was kind of similar, but I believe it took place in Seattle, and a little bit, every 21 years, serial killer commits a spree of murders, drains the victim's blood, and then disappears. But always been a big fan of Kolchak, and I thought made-for-TV movie, I thought had some really good dialogue, and I think Darren McGavin was just born to play that role. He was always one of those guys I really enjoyed. But yeah, when you said made-for-TV movie, Night Stalker was definitely one that I had to mention.
I can't ever look at him without hearing Fragile.
Yeah, well, he was a great. I mean, Darren McGavin was a really good actor.
Yeah,
love him as Kolchak, and of course as the old man from A Christmas Story, and he was Billy Madison's dad in Billy Madison. So I mean, he was so many great stuff.
But I sought out that movie like about 10 years ago after like a weird reference to it. There's a Canadian sitcom on the air for a few years set in Saskatchewan called Corner Gas. And it's just and the main character played by comedian Brent Budd is just this guy. He's just sort of a slacker guy that runs the gas station. But one thing is he's sort of like big into movies and books and stuff like that. And there's an episode where he's like telling everybody about Kolchak the Night Stalker, and nobody has any idea what he's talking about. And he's just like, it was a movie, Darren McGavin. They're like, they had no idea, and it just made me so curious that I actually like sought out the movie. So that's actually how I wound up seeing it, which is kind of odd. But yeah, I remember it as pretty cool.
Yeah. Definitely. What else you got for us, Rambo?
Another one I enjoyed, not many people mention it. It's one called Special Bulletin. It was a made-for-TV movie from 1983. It starred Ed Flanders, who was the Father Dyer in Exorcist 3. And for 1983, it was directed by Edward Zwick, who I believe did Glory.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is a special bulletin news report told entirely in that point of view about a terrorist who has an atomic bomb on a boat, and trying to be as real as possible, as if it's an actual special bulletin news with this event going on, with a pretty surprising ending as well. There was that, and then in '94 there was one called Without Warning, which was a similar tape, but dealing what if a UFO had appeared, and instead of dealing with the atomic bomb. But those are made-for-TV movies that was filmed primarily as if it was a news TV program with anchormen and so forth, and sort of a precursor to the found footage era that would populate a lot of movies. But I thought for made-for-TV movies, it made sense. I mean, if you're watching a TV and all of a sudden this news program comes up and
he muted
bomb
himself.
that.
There you go.
Okay. But I was just saying it was kind of interesting because like the special bulletin was 83 and they even had complaints for people because they thought it was real. Like they literally thought this was a real program. That's how well done it was. And so later on they had to tell, no, this is just a fictitious program. There is no atomic bomb that would happen, and with these anchormen. And I thought those were interesting for...
It's like War of the Worlds.
Yeah. But yeah, the first one, Special Bulletin from '83, and then 1994, there was one called Without Warning, I believe. I thought those were really clever and interesting for what they were supposed to do.
Cool.
So Ed Zwick, what a fascinating career. Went from that to making 30-something to making Glory, and the Last Samurai.
The Last Samurai, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's a hell of a career.
Well, have you got any more on your list, Rambo, or do you want us to go on and we'll come back around to you?
Well, I mean, one actor mentioned, I'm sure other people would want to mention, was Duel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg.
Mhm.
Really well done, really to the point, used the budget constraints to very effective. I mean, I'm sure, I think he's even mentioned this, what he did on that, he utilized on Jaws. And I think even when, I forget what something about Duel influenced him for Jaws, and even like the death of the shark, some type of sound effect, or something. I forget what it was.
It was kind of like the shark and the truck were sort of like the same thing, just, different settings. But yeah, like just some menacing, unstoppable thing. That thing, yeah.
I think
Yeah,
when
like
the truck explodes like off the cliff or whatever, there's some grumbling that's made that is later used in Jaws.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah, and Spielberg originally didn't want to do Jaws because he was like, "Well, I already did that movie." You know,
Yeah.
And those two elderly people on the side of the road show back up in 1941 as the same characters.
Shared universe. I love it.
But Duel is really good. I mean, Duel is like just a great, the desert landscape, and I mean, I think that movie was also very probably influential on like the Hitcher. Exactly. Yeah, really
I
good
like that
movie.
it had inner
Really good.
monologue, which you almost never see in movies. I don't know why they shy away from that so much. Like, are they afraid it's going to confuse the audience or something?
And to everybody watching this, it is Dennis Weaver that's in Duel, not Dennis Hopper. Everyone keeps telling me, "Oh, it's Dennis Hopper in this." I said, "No, it's Dennis Weaver."
Could you imagine if it was Dennis Hopper?
Yeah. Dennis Hopper, he just like takes a bite out of the truck or something. I don't know.
Dennis Hopper would have
I'm not
stopped.
running from this.
Yeah, Dennis Hopper would have like stopped the car, created a roadblock, and just stood there like waiting for the truck. Like, come on! He'd put that thing on.
Yeah.
Just, I mean,
There's
He's
our next.
Wants the truck.
That's our
Baby
next
wants the
thumbnail.
truck.
Piz.
You talk about how the Lord is the harvest and chainsaw the truck.
exactly. There you go. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I'd buy that for $1.
Exactly. But yeah, you definitely can't go wrong with Duel. If you guys out there haven't seen Duel, by all means, go get it. You can pick it up on DVD. Really good movie.
Blu-ray.
It's on YouTube. I watched it earlier today too.
You can
Does
get
it have
get on Blu-ray for $9.99. Come on.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I've got the DVD. Yeah.
Yep, didn't even know it was on Blu-ray.
The next unboxing. Here comes Fizz.
There you go. Let's move on. What do you got for us, Eric?
So, similar to Cole, like I'm kind of light, like in terms of as I was doing research, I kind of stumbled upon some things that resonated with me. I seen them like once, like the big one, kind of my big historical one that I think kind of made a mark was The Day After.
Mhm.
The big like nuclear holocaust story, kind of like set in the Midwest. John Lithgow, I think, is in that movie. Or I think like his voices or something like that. I'm trying to remember. I saw it once, and I was just looking into it a little bit more.
Steve Gutenberg is in
Steve
it.
Gutenberg's in that too. It kind of postulated just this very dark. There's like a nuclear, basically a nuclear war breaks out, and like what happens to characters over the course of that, and it's got really really dark ending. And I think that aired on like ABC or one of the networks.
Yeah, it was big. It was themed by like millions of people.
I remember it.
Yeah. So like that in terms of like, I tried to make a list of like one that I thought made an impact, another that also seemed to be like make an impact and kind of fit. I think it was someone made a comment earlier about like all these movies are kind of like about someone being raped or incest or whatever. And so the second one that I would mention, I actually saw this once. I forget how I saw this, but something about Amelia. And the reason I remembered it is because it had Joe from The Facts of Life in it.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I've
It's
seen that.
basically like a dad is having sex with his daughter or something like that.
Yeah.
And so again, that's not funny, but that's it. It fits in the category of like a lot of those movies are all kind of about rape or incest or some sort of like internal family corruption.
And that movie tricked people too because she was coming off of High School USA and Poison Ivy, both Michael J. Fox pictures that she did. And then when that came out, it was like
Yeah. And so then there's another one, and this one I think only resonates with me just because I remembered it from school. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if it actually was a movie or if it was a miniseries. I think NBC did The Odyssey. Was that a movie or a miniseries?
You better not say Voyage of the Mimi.
No, The Odyssey.
Okay.
It had I remember it had Armand Assante and Vanessa Williams. And the reason it resonates with me is we were reading Odyssey.
You mean Homer's Odyssey, the Greek?
Homer's Odyssey, the
okay.
Odyssey.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. I don't know. Yeah.
It was. I remember we watched it in like my junior high because we were reading the Odyssey, and I have this very specific memory of there's like a sex scene with like Armand Assante and Vanessa Williams, and it was on NBC, so they didn't really show it, but they're like under the covers of a bed and she's like screaming her head off. And I remember my teacher like running up to the front of the room to like fast forward it. And I went to a Catholic school, by the way, so extra painful for them.
My teacher did that when we watched Backdraft. And there was no education, and there's no educational value to us watching Backdraft. We just watched it one day.
You can learn about
Backdraft has a legitimate sex scene.
I
in
know.
that movie too. It isn't like under the covers either.
My driver's ed teacher showed us Goodfellas.
Nice.
Nice.
That'll teach you to drive safely.
Well,
in my Latin class,
body in the trunk.
In my Latin class, I had convinced the teacher. We watched Halloween, we watched Back to the Future, we watched Ghostbusters. We had a good time in that class.
I tried to get my science teacher to let us watch. I brought in Heat, and he took it home and watched it and brought it back. I was like, I really like it, but I'll get fired. And I was like, well, here, try this one. I gave him Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Oh, jeez.
He took it home. He brought it back. He was like, I loved it. This cracked me up. You're crazy. It's fun.
Nice. So those three, the only one I would mention, and it's a far more recent movie. Larry David did a movie for HBO called Clear History. It's like he did it instead of another season of Curb, which he's doing again anyway.
Oh, wow.
But I actually rather like that. I thought it was an interesting story. I mean, it's basically Larry David still playing that Larry David character, just named something different. But it had, I'm trying to think, like it had like Amy Ryan in it. It had what's his face? The dude from Mad Men. His name's escaping me. Why can't I? John
On
Hamm.
Ham?
Like
Yeah.
John Hamm was in that movie too. It was an HBO movie called Clear History from maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was pretty funny. Again, I think I probably would have preferred another season of Curb, but it had that same sensibility, so I thought it was pretty cool.
Well,
I've not heard of this at all.
whatever works, Eric.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like I felt like with the TV movie stuff, you're not finding in a lot of cases great cinema. I would have mentioned Gia, but my entire reason for mentioning it is just the rampant Angelina Jolie and Elizabeth Mitchell nudity. So,
I mean, nobody's mentioned the greatest TV movie ever, Mulholland Drive.
I
Let's
would-
see.
yeah, that's true.
I would have.
Holiday Styles says best rape and incest movies next Thursday. You guys, is that a good topic?
Oh my
for next
God.
Dude, I can so talk for 2
I
hours
got a
about
lot
that.
for
It'd
those.
be
Yeah.
our most watched show ever.
Give me 10 minutes to prep and I'm ready.
That's what she said.
Oh,
Oh. Like when she's not ready.
Is that the show Mitt Garrett's storm guest star on?
That give us some credibility.
Oh God, that'd be funny. That'd be funny.
Come on, guys. After International Women's Day, is this really what we should be talking about?
all right, Mick. What do you think about forced entry? Come on.
Not to be that guy, but men can be raped too.
Yep.
That's true.
I've seen Oz. I know.
That's, yeah. Too
And
bad
in
Mike
movies.
and too bad Mike and James aren't here to talk about prison rape
Oh.
stories because that was always so.
Staple of our early
That was
episodes.
always a fun conversation to veer off into prison rape.
Man.
Anyway, I'm gonna throw out a couple of mine, and then we'll move on to Cole, and we'll come back around. But I've actually put together a list of several, and I'll throw out there. I think an obvious one for me, most people probably would think is obvious for me, and that's the Toby Hooper Salem's Lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of mine.
Yep, like it a lot. I like the Rob Lowe one too. I like them both, to be perfectly honest.
Me too.
The Toby Hooper one, though, I think is my favorite just because it's kind of the Rob Lowe one is like the serious version. You know what I mean? The Toby Hooper one is just like, let's crack a beer open, and it's kind of cheesy, but it's a fun movie. I like it a lot.
And which one is available on Blu-ray? The Toby Hooper one.
That's true. That's true. And there is some creepy moments in that movie too. I mean, the kid floating to the window and scratching at the window, that's still kind of creepy looking. Or when the old man walks into the room and the guy's rocking in the rocking chair, and you like see his eyes glowing. It's got some creepy moments in it. So I've always been a big fan of Salem's Lot. Has anybody seen the Salem's Lot sequel? That
The Return?
yes, that the
Yeah,
guy who
it's-
did
Larry
terrible.
Cohen's-
Larry Cohen. Yeah.
Yeah,
Whoa.
Terrible.
I didn't know that existed.
quite bad.
Mhm.
It is
much
pretty.
more tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's interesting. It's not very good. It's totally. What's funny is like the poster still has what's his name on the cover, like lingering over the town. He's not even in the movie. Marlowe. He's not even in the movie.
He's dead.
It's
Spoilers.
yeah, it's an interesting. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, Return of Salem's. A lot of people don't know that exists for a reason because
It's like sometimes they come back again and again. It's like how many?
Exactly.
Yeah.
exactly.
How much money has Stephen King made from horrible sequels to like his core works? Like how many Children of the Corn movies are there?
Well, I wonder.
9.
I wonder
10.
what kind of
Okay.
kind of paycheck he gets from those Children of the Corn sequels because he's got to get some kind of paycheck from those.
Oh, yeah.
I think they all have to say like based on characters created by Stephen King or something. Like he's got a credit in there somewhere, so he's getting something for it.
So I know for a lot of new writers and new filmmakers, they can option a lot of his stories for $1. Not the big books, but a lot of his short stories. But if you make the film and sell the film, then that's when his percentage kicks in.
Ah,
So, because Frank Darabont bought The Shawshank Redemption for $1.
Well, yeah, Frank Darabont actually bought back in the day before he was Frank Darabont. He bought a short story from
Yeah.
Stephen King, and over the course of like 4 years, he made it into a movie or something. It was such a really long time.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's how him and Stephen King kind of became friends. But
On that note, something that I just ran into today, and I didn't even realize it, but are you guys aware that there's going to be a new series or mini-series? It's like a new version of The Mist.
No.
Oh, really?
no,
It's going to air on Spike, of all things, and I know it because they're shooting it here, and I saw a little bit of
Get
it
some pictures.
today. They're
Oh,
shooting
wait a
it
second. Mist
here.
is a TV series, as like an ongoing thing.
Are you
Yeah.
sure? Are you sure it's not part of the Castle Rock show?
No,
Okay.
it's
Huh.
different. But
First time
yeah,
I've heard of that.
they're shooting it here and some places around here too. So I
Cool.
Huh.
saw some of the
Okay.
people today.
Go
I
be-
didn't know who it was. Then I
go
went
be
in
an
my
extra.
I went in my comic book store and they were like, "Oh yeah, that's for The Mist." And I was like, "I didn't hear about this," but yeah. So.
They're gonna redo the ending.
Well, they're saying it's some sort of like retelling or reinterpreting. So I'm guessing they're going to be quite liberal with changes, but I don't know.
Well, the
With
ending
all
of the
this-
movie's not even in the book, so
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Stephen
I
King
think the
says he
ending
does
of the
like
movie
better.
makes sense for a movie, whereas the ending of the book makes sense for a book. I actually like both.
Yeah. That's how I
think-
feel
think
about
they
Apt
work.
Pupil too. Like Apt Pupil's ending in the book is awesome, but like
Yeah.
it wouldn't have worked as well in a movie, and
Right.
so sometimes.
Right.
I was going to say, like, because he says yes to everything. This is why, like, I don't really necessarily believe Stephen King when he's like tweeting about how good he thinks the It remake is going to be. I'm just like,
Oh, God.
you just encourage everything and greenlight everything.
well,
Yeah.
and he didn't even say like it was good. He just said that he said something about it wasn't even like a definitive statement. Like, yeah, I liked it, I loved it. You know, it was just like they've done a wonderful job with the production. What does that mean?
First of all, if there's no child orgy, what's the point?
I'm glad someone said it.
Oh God.
That's it for me, guys.
Have a good-
And on that note, we'll see you guys never again. This was our last episode.
Yeah.
Um,
Had a good run.
you can bring that up. You can bring that up next week on the was it the Force Entry show, Cole? Is that what we're calling it?
Oh God, yeah. Make it my idea.
Yeah, Cole, God.
But seriously,
yeah.
though, on the Stephen King stuff, the way that all the studios are after like shared universes and franchises and stuff, I don't understand why there isn't a studio out there like trying to gather together all of the Stephen King Dark Tower works. And I don't just mean the Dark Tower, but I mean like The Stand, Salem's Lot qualifies, It sort of qualifies. Like gather everything that's related to the Dark Tower and like do interrelated movies.
But aren't they doing
Like-
that with Castle Rock? I mean, isn't that going to be like a whole thing where Cujo's running down the street and Christine? It's going to be like that opening scene of Cat's Eye for like the whole series, where like they're all
is
just
that what that show is meant to be?
Yeah, it's supposed to be all crisscrossed.
Oh, okay. I mean, like the Dark Tower, though, like it would be awesome if they were making a The Stand movie, and I've heard that they are, but I think that stalled out a while ago, didn't it?
They've been trying to get everyone. They even approached Ben Affleck to direct The Stand as a movie.
Yeah.
And I don't. And George Romero was going to do it at one point too. And my argument, you cannot do it as one film. You can't.
Oh no,
No, you can't.
yeah, it's got to be at least a couple films, or
If
or
The Hobbit
put
can
it
be
on like
three,
HBO or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, exactly. I think a lot of these works need to be HBO, not in terms of length, but also with the budget, the quality of it.
Right. Well, I was just saying more that, everybody's trying to find this franchise and they want shared universes. Again, the King Kong movie he's eventually going to fight Godzilla. We already know they're driving towards that. Like, it seems to me like Stephen King's already done the work for them. He's already, like, his novels all interconnect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're in subtle ways, though. I mean,
I think The Stand probably has the biggest connection, but you're right.
well, sure, because like
Salem's
Randall
Lot
Flagg isn't just
and-
like some background character or name. Like he's an actual guy who's
Right.
driving the plot and stuff like that.
And
for
doesn't
sure.
he confess to killing Kennedy in the Stand?
I think
I think so. He confesses, well, not maybe killing him, but making it happen. Being
Right.
behind it. It's like he's the driving force behind this and that. But I mean, the Dark
Yeah.
Tower is really the one that jumps all over the place with that.
Yeah. Well, because in the Dark Tower, they actually are in the stand at one point. When
Right,
they, like,
that's what I mean.
walk through.
They really jump around in the
Yeah.
Dark Tower, like where they like sort of look into some of the other books, and
Yeah.
Callahan from Salem's Lot is actually a character and stuff like that.
Yep.
But yeah, the 2004 made-for-TV Salem's Lot is my favorite Stephen King adaptation. Period.
Wow.
By far, like easily.
Who directed that one?
That's a good question.
It wasn't one of the regulars.
No.
No, it wasn't. But Rob Lowe's one of the regulars. He's done like 3 or 4 Stephen King adaptations.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Langoliers.
I liked Rutger Hauer as Marlowe. I thought he was a good Marlowe.
No, I liked all of them.
I
I
thought-
love
Like the only thing that held it back really was that it was made for TV because it couldn't be like rated R and they had to hold back
Right.
some of the content. But I really liked it and I liked the tweaks and stuff.
who
they
was
actually
guy
made
that
the
played
kid
the
more
priest?
Cromwell.
James Cromwell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still
Oh,
got one.
wow.
Of my, it's
James
still
Cromwell's in there. Donald Sutherland's in there.
Donald
Rutger
Sutherland,
Hauer.
Rutger Hauer. Yeah.
Samantha Mathis, who I've had a crush on forever.
Samantha
Rob
Mathis
Lowe.
is awesome. Yes.
I love
I
Samantha
love,
Mathis.
it's still got one of my favorite lines from like any movie in it. I don't know if it's in the novel or not because I've not read it, but it's at the part where Marlowe has like broken the priest, and the priest is like,
In the
you know,
kitchen.
like, yeah, the priest is like giving up his faith, and he's like, you know, was I led astray? You know, is there a God? And Marlowe goes, whoever feeds you is your God. And he like force feeds him the blood. I
can confirm that is in the book, as that's like the book.
I mean,
I
that
love
sounds
book.
like a very Stephen King thing to say. So
Yeah.
I was pretty sure it was.
Well,
in the
while
It's
we're
like
on
my second or third favorite Stephen King book. I read it
while
all
we're
the
on
time.
while we're on the topic of Stephen King, I'm just curious. Who have we seen collectively? Have we seen more episodes of Kingdom Hospital or The Golden Years?
Golden Years.
I've seen 0 of any. So
Golden Years right here.
Oh,
Golden
my.
Years, yeah.
All right, keep going, Cole.
Let's see. I'll throw
Girl
out.
people.
I'll throw out a
Markey's
couple of
Dark
more.
Light.
Another Toby Hooper made-for-TV movie that I like a lot is called "I'm Dangerous Tonight." It's got Anthony Perkins and Madgen. How do you say Madgen Amik in it?
Oh wow.
From Twin
I gotta
Peaks.
look this up.
And D. Wallace Stone is in it as well. And it's another one. It got like a very limited DVD run that's out of print, and like you can't find it really anywhere now.
I didn't even know.
I liked it quite a bit. Really good TV movie. Madgen Amik, if you're a fan of hers, you'll definitely dig it.
What's it
Anthony
called?
Perkins is really good. It's called "I'm Dangerous Tonight."
Hmm.
It's pretty
Oh, it's one of those USA movies. Nice.
pretty darn good. Pretty darn good.
It's just like this came on after Silk Stockings, right?
But
I'm just impressed that it had Anthony Perkins. That's awesome.
Yeah, really good cast. It's really good. I really enjoy it. I'll throw one more out there. This was a TV movie. It came out after John Carpenter's Halloween. It's called Someone's Watching Me.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys seen that?
Yeah.
Sounds familiar, but I don't think I've seen it.
It's got Adrienne Barbeau in it, but she's not the lead. The lead is what was
Sneezing shit.
Isn't it Lauren Hutton?
Lauren? Or from
Yeah.
It's really good. You can tell it's amazing. I think it was originally when Carpenter was working on it. It was intended to be a theatrical movie, but then I think it was NBC or whoever decided to just make it a television movie. And
Oh, it's got Cheryl Cyphers too. Nice.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And it kind of, it's got that television movie kind of look to it, but it's pretty good. It's got some good suspenseful moments, and it's definitely worth it. If you can find it on DVD, look into it.
It's you can also get it on Vudu for like $5.
Yep,
HD.
definitely worth it.
What's interesting is that Charles Cyphers plays a character named Gary Hunt in that movie, and Gary Hunt was the name of his deputy in Halloween 2. That's just, again, random. I'm sure not intentional, but that's interesting.
Funny. But
Well,
yeah, really good.
When you have that 6-pack of beer, you run out of names, Eric.
That's true.
But really good one. Let me throw out one more. And this one's another kind of obscure one. The Midnight Hour. Have you guys ever seen or heard of The Midnight Hour?
Hmm.
Mm-mm.
Maybe.
It was a. I wish Michael Felsher was here because it was actually released on Anchor Bay. It was an Anchor Bay DVD that only had like had a very brief run, and now the out of print DVD for that movie goes for like $100 online. But yeah, TV movie. It's kind of like every monster is represented. It takes place on Halloween. It's fun. It's kind of silly and goofy. There's like a big dance number in the middle of it. Song and dance number in the middle of it. But it's fun. It's fun. It's got Shirley LaFontaine, LeVar Burton. Yeah. A lot of big names from like the late '80s TV.
It's got Dee Dee Pfeiffer. Yes, please.
Oh my God, Mike's entrance is amazing. Just in a cloud of smoke.
Just wait till he hears what our next episode's about.
Oh my God.
B Movie Mike's joined us. What's up, Mike?
Hey, what's up, guys?
How you doing, man?
My voice isn't too crazy. I think I said it right. Doing pretty good. Sorry, life kind of got in the way a little bit. I'm beyond fashionably late. I think I'm ridiculously late, but glad to be here nonetheless.
Yeah, it's cool.
See, man.
Cool.
You're finably late.
But that arrival that was great. Just a cloud of smoke appears, and then B Movie Mike appears behind it. So
he looks like Robert De Niro in Angel Heart.
But let's go ahead and move on. If you guys haven't seen The Midnight Hour, definitely look into it. The DVD's super high online.
It's on YouTube.
But yeah, I think it is on YouTube. So look into it. It's a lot of fun.
I really hate to be that guy, but a lot of this shit is on YouTube.
It's a good one to watch around Halloween.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
I still want to watch I'm Dangerous tonight. That one looks good.
Yeah, I don't even think that one's on YouTube. That one's very hard to find these days. Very hard to find.
We just look up Shannon Tweed's credits, and I can just say those are all my favorite.
Well, let's move on. Let's see. We'll save. Usually we start the show with Mike. Why don't we end the show with Mike this week? What do you got for us, Cole?
Okay, so now that I've looked up some of them, most of the made-for-TV movies in my life that I remember were things I saw as a kid, and usually were generally for kids. And a lot of them are just so weird when I think about it, like the Sesame Street movies, how odd they are. Don't Eat the Pictures, which is this one where street characters get trapped in a museum, like Museum of Natural History or something, overnight, and there's some weird thing about some princess or something that they save, and every character has their own little spotlight moment. There's a part where Grover is singing a song where he's going into various paintings and stuff and reenacting scenes of history and stuff. It's called Don't Eat the Pictures because at one point they had to tell Cookie Monster that he can't eat the pictures because they look so good. But besides those, there's the two Big Bird Goes To movies. Big Bird Goes to Japan and Big Bird Goes to China. They're pretty funny. Especially Big Bird, Big Bird's crazy, blatant racism. In Big Bird Goes to Japan, when he just the whole point is he gets stranded there and he's walking around, he's like, wow, everybody has black hair and stuff like that. But I don't know, they're pretty fun. I especially the China one. It's in 1984, and it's it's just weird. You just see him and Barkley just wandering around these large Asian cities. Just it's so funny, but
good thing I like rice.
But yeah, exactly, right? There's a part where in Big Bird Japan where they want to order food and all he can do is point at the stuff in the window. He's like, that one and that one. And they're like, we don't, and they're like, that's not real food, that's just for display. And, it's just full of bullshit like that. But not just one, but TV movies I like a lot. Agatha Christie, but I'll just focus on the Poirot series they started in 1989 that only just wrapped up a couple years ago, starring David Suchet as Poirot because he was just so perfect. It breaks my heart that Agatha Christie didn't live to see him play the role because he's so perfect. And what's weird is he's not. That's not even the first time David Suchet was in a Poirot. He was actually in one of the ones from the 80s where Peter Ustinov played Poirot, and Suchet actually played Inspector Japp in that. So it kind of shows his range because he's like shaven, like doing like a hello Poirot thing, and then just transforming into Poirot. You know what he looks like his little penguin in his egg shape, and like he just got everything down. And I mean, I've seen stuff like he read, like when he was casted in the role, he read every single Poirot book and short story. Like he was so dedicated, which is cool. And it breaks my heart that they're over now, but I love them and watch them all the time over and over again, because they're so well done. Even though a lot of them, they change stuff from the books, it's still fun because sometimes they even change how the ending goes and stuff. But watch those. Back when A&E was a real channel and they would like air on A&E, they'd have like that mystery. They'd have that little animated opening and stuff. If anybody remembers that, where it would show like it'd have like the dramatic piano, and it would show like stuff set in like that era, like Poirot's era, the between the wars era, and they'd have a storm and stuff. I don't know, but you can probably look it up on YouTube to see that opening, A&E's Mystery Theater or something like that.
What's wrong with A&E?
It used to like show biography and things like that. Now it's just like Storage Wars. Right?
Hold on, it's got Bates Motel, and Bates Motel is pretty good.
I guess. I don't know. I'm just
I know
saying.
you're not
A&E used to like have like real like educational things and stuff, and now it just seems to be a bunch of reality.
That's almost every channel now,
I
unfortunately.
know. I'm just saying A&E seems to have fallen far because I don't know. They used to be kind of classy like PBS or something.
TLC, man, it was the same way.
Yeah.
For the Learning
The
Channel.
Learning Channel. Now, like, yeah, I know. Can you believe like the Learning Channel, a channel like with that name, like the cornerstone like of their like lineup was like Honey Boo Boo.
My 600-pound life or whatever.
Now, Cole, real quick, just so you know, I don't know if you know this or not, but Kenneth Branagh is actually doing another adaptation of Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah.
And I believe he's Perot, and it's got a huge cast, obviously. So
See, that's my only problem, though. Every time Kenneth Branagh does these things, he has to have the lead role, even if it makes no sense. And him as Poirot really makes no sense to me. I don't see how he can pull that off. I mean, it was hard enough when he did Hamlet, because he was already like 40 doing Hamlet. And I really love his Hamlet. I think it's excellent. The fact that he's kind of out of place himself in the role in Hamlet. But I mean, it's cool, but yeah.
Well, he says in the text that Hamlet's supposed to be 35, and he was 36 when he did it. So
Yeah, well, Hamlet's supposed to be 30, not 35. I know Shakespeare better than Branagh, apparently. But and again, I mean, I love him. He was great in what was the one in the 80s? The one with the big speech.
Back to the Future.
Oh, shut the fuck up, Jay.
Henry V.
Henry V. Yeah, Henry V. Like, he's really excellent in that. But sorry, Jay, I didn't mean to be rude. I'm trying to. Actually, I don't care. Anyway, I'm getting derailed here, but that'll be cool, I'm sure. I love the 70. I love the one, of course, with David Suchet when they finally get around to doing it. It was one of the last ones they did. But the 74 one is a classic. Everybody was in that too, Sean Connery and all these other names. And the 74 is still really cool, and I really enjoy it. And Agatha Christie was mostly happy with it, except it's like she was kind of disappointed in what's his name's mustache. That's
Albert Finney.
Yeah, or maybe I have them backwards. Maybe that's Peter Ustinov and that's Albert Finney, but I'll have to check on that. But yeah, those are the two for sure. But anyway, getting back to it, like, so one that I used to watch that seemed to come on TV a lot, and it's funny because I wasn't a Scooby-Doo fan, was they had Scooby-Doo Meets the Boo Brothers. I enjoyed that just because it had so many things going on. It's like Shaggy inherits this old mansion down like the swamp in like Louisiana, and he and Scooby go down there to look through the mansion for supposed treasure, and there's ghosts all over the place. At the same time, there's like a circus train derails, and there's an escaped gorilla running around, and there's this fat southern sheriff running around the swamp trying to catch the gorilla. And of course, there are the Boo Brothers themselves, these weird ghosts. And I don't know, it's just a crazy mess of a movie, but I really get a kick out of it. And, you know, Scrappy-Doo is nowhere to be seen, which is nice.
No, he's in that.
Shit.
Yeah.
Wow. You're right. You're right. Yeah, I'm mixing it up. But yeah, he's in it. And that's what I mean. Even though he sucks, like, the movie's still pretty good. But
and pass the Scrappy test.
They minimize him a little bit, but yeah. Besides some of the kids stuff, let me see here. One that I only saw like a few years ago, like when I finally had access to HBO, was Indictment: The McMartin Trial. James Woods, about that famous thing. You know, it was the height of the whole satanic panic thing. You know, the thing it happened really. You know, we're at that school or daycare where
Right.
all the people
Right.
were taken in because of accusations of child molestation, but mixed in with like, you know, satanic rituals and witches and all this and stuff, and it's really heartbreaking because like even though the people were cleared, it kind of just basically ruined their lives, and it really showed that. And James Woods plays the lawyer who fought so hard for these people for years, trying to like clear their names and that stuff, and it really shines a good light on what was going on there. And it's a really good performance by James Woods, because it's not, I mean, I love James Woods, but it's a very good serious one. Like he's not doing over the top stuff. Like it's just really serious and intense. Made for TV movie for sure. I like court stuff anyway, but this isn't all court stuff. There's a lot of, you know, behind the scenes and interviews and talking to these people. You know, like one guy, like, because in the 80s, like new age stuff was sort of a thing. Like somebody gave him like some crystals or something like that, like kind of as a joke. And yet that was like used against him. Like, oh, I think he's got magic powers and he's molesting children and casting spells on them. Like, and it sounds ridiculous, but people took it seriously and really accused him of all this stuff, which, you know, was just horrible.
You may like a movie called Rampage. I think it may have actually been like a made for HBO movie that William Friedkin did back in the late 80s, I think. It's got Michael Biehn in it. It's kind of it's got some courtroom elements. I think it's mostly courtroom elements, but I remember it being
for years.
Yeah, I remember it being pretty good.
Yeah, it sounds.
So you may want to look into that.
Familiar. Yeah, I do. The DuckTales movie Treasure of the Golden Suns. It's pretty good. It's probably not as good as you want it to be, because DuckTales was such a high quality show, but it was still
coming back.
I know, and mixed feelings about that, but I mean, I guess mostly a good thing, sure. Because yeah, that was definitely one of the best shows of its era, DuckTales, just for
woo.
Woo, yeah. The song was definitely half of it, right?
Yeah, true.
Between that and Animaniacs, yeah.
Oh my
God,
God,
man! God, what a klutz, huh?
Yeah. And before I take up too much time, I'll say one of the better Batman movies is the sort of finale for the show Batman Beyond, which was actually a really good show. Like it was cool that they went in a different direction with this weird future where Bruce Wayne's like in his 80s and he recruits this kid to be the new Batman and stuff. But like the finale, it's called Return of the Joker.
Oh, that's so good.
And it really takes some chances and does some really cool different things, and it is really good. And, you know, once again, you got the Mark Hamill Joker and stuff. And I can't say like the other ones are what's like straight to video or straight to Netflix and stuff, but this was made for TV. This is, you know, a few years before that. This is 99 or 2000. It sort of served as a finale / epilogue for that show, which was a really good show. But yeah.
Have you seen the unedited version of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have. It's got some risque stuff.
Yeah.
For that. Yeah, that the Joker like says and stuff. Yeah.
Not as much as Batman and Batgirl and Killing Joke getting it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't really happy about that at all.
In the same continuity as Batman Beyond, there's an episode of, I think it's either Justice League or Justice League Unlimited.
Yeah.
They kind of do another.
They do an epilogue of that where he's older.
Like a true yeah.
And they do like a retcon showing like how Batman orchestrated the whole thing, you know, so that like he, you know, makes him into even more of a magnificent bastard, and that like it wasn't just happenstance. It was like,
right.
And you're actually like Bruce Wayne's like child, really. I don't know. It seemed like a bit much. I still liked it though. It's cool.
Yeah,
it's so cool. I like how they tied that in. I mean, Batman Beyond. Yeah, I mean, I remember being kind of disgusted when it first came out. I was like, I don't want this, but like I really came to appreciate it.
It was like. To me, it's like a Batman story that until that point had never been told. Like the comics just keep, you know, running Batman, and then rebooting, and then running, and then rebooting. I liked to envision a scenario where it's like, okay, like Bruce Wayne's just a guy. He got old one day, and now someone else needs to be Batman. I think that's a great concept that, you know, frankly hasn't even really been mined to its full potential yet, I think.
Yeah. No, and they do some cool things, like some legacy, like the idea, like the Joker, he's supposedly gone, but there's, you know, gangs just called the Jokers, and like I remember in that first episode where like a bunch of them accost Bruce Wayne, like the old guy, and one of them's like, "Hey, aren't you scared of me, old man? I'm the Joker." And Bruce Wayne smiles at him and goes, "Sure you are." Like that's really awesome. And then like it was like an 80-year-old like beats them all with a cane.
Yeah.
Actually, he gets some help, but yeah, it's still pretty badass. But anyway, I'll just finish on. It's kind of funny because yeah, like what we always think about when we think about like TV movies, and like we said, especially like these women's network things, all that. Like there literally is a movie that came out like 2 years ago or 2015, I think, that I managed to see because it was on TV and I had to watch it. And it's like every single one of those cliches ever, all wrapped up together, called A Deadly Adoption, starring Will Ferrell and Kristen Wiig, and they play it 100% straight. And it's amazing. Like I had to watch it.
I think what happened.
I was wondering if someone was going to bring that up.
I think they shot a bad TV movie and then they hyped it up as a joke. Kind of like Casa de Mi Padre, or like we shot the Spanish movie, but it's really funny.
Yeah. But it's funny, like how straight they play it. But like it's just every single fucking cliche going on. It's like this younger woman that comes in to like seduce him, and he's got all these weird flashbacks and stuff like that. And of course, if you want to know if it's serious or not, it's Will Ferrell with like a full beard. He's like, I'm a serious bearded guy. Like, oh, it's so amazing. Like they play it straight, but at the same time, it's like so stupid in the way all those movies are. It's like the perfect like send up of all those movies. But
I'm gonna have to watch that now.
Yeah, it's like a part where like his child dies, but it's like funny. You find yourself laughing because of his reaction. And the way everything, like, the music is. Yeah,
it's like it's like every like one of those daytime Lifetime movies like turned up to 11, but with with the bonus of Will Ferrell and Kristen Wiig in the lead. It was mind blowing. Like I had no idea it existed. It just came on TV. I was like, "This is wrong. This can't." I was looking at the guide. I was like, "Will Ferrell." Like I didn't believe what it was saying.
I remember that got hyped around here for a while. Like I remember it was a big deal because I actually watched it the night it aired. Because it was something. It's like, has Lifetime been around 20 years or 30 years or something? I thought it was part of their anniversary or something that they were doing it.
I just imagine Cole thinking, this is the longest Saturday Night Live sketch ever.
Yeah, kind of. Like,
where's the laugh track?
Yeah, but like what makes it funny is just like how freaking serious it gets in moments, and like there's like they just play it straight completely, which just actually makes it all the more funny.
Yep.
On an unrelated note, Joey Yun wants to know what your favorite Stephen King books are, Cole.
Okay, The Stand, and Salem's Lot are pretty much at the top, but I really like the first four Dark Towers, the Gunslinger, Drawing of the Three, The Wasteland, which I know is boring as fuck, but there's still something I really like about it, and Wizard and Glass with that really great flashback and build up. Wizard and Glass would just be a great standalone movie, really.
Yeah,
but. And I've got some of the comic adaptations of that, which is really good. So those ones, and I like a lot of the short story collections. Like I said, the one Apt Pupil is one of my favorites of like the short stories, novella things. What else? There's probably some behind me if I take a look. Are there any Stephen Kings in this room? And I like a lot of his Richard Bachman stuff, to tell you the truth. I really like The Long Walk. That's one I really enjoy. The Running Man, which he like wrote in like a week, completely blacked out drunk, and he doesn't even remember writing it. It's so different from the movie. It's nothing like the movie, but it's really cool. Yeah, I really like the Richard Bachman books quite a bit, to tell you the truth. Even that really old one that he dug up that he'd like written before he even published Carrie, called Blaze. I've got that. It's pretty good. It's not, I guess, a favorite, but I enjoy the Bachman books and always think he'd do the other one. And of course, It. I like It. Although it's the same thing as like most Stephen King's. It's like I find like one of the only ones that has a good ending. Because even my absolute favorite, The Stand, like Stephen King constantly like writes really good books that I like, and then has unsatisfying endings.
Oh my god, yes.
And
Stand ending like rips the rug out from under me. Like I felt to myself like, why did I read all of this? It is literally a Deus ex machina. Like literally, that's what happened.
And then he does the same thing again for spoilers. Under the Dome, which was the first like newish of his book that I'd read in a long time. Like I hadn't read Lisi's Story or whatever, or The Key, and like there were a whole bunch that had come out in the last 10 years that I didn't read at all. But I was excited to read Under the Dome because I liked that it had a map and all those things. And I liked Under the Dome, and then it's like the same thing. It's like he had no fucking clue how to end it, so he just blows everything up again.
Yep.
Ending. And there's even some bits in that, like it's not even that good writing, because like again, it's quite different from the show. Spoilers, if you want to know what did the dome. They never really say, but it's basically implied that it is aliens. But there's also this bit where, like, one of the main characters, the woman, like, she gets some sort of, like, psychic flash of them or something where she can sort of see them in her head. And she says, like, but they're kids. Like, they're just kids playing around like we're an experiment. And someone just says something like, how do you know? Are you sure? And she's just like, yeah, they're kids. And that's all you get. Like, just her thinking for sure, yes, these are definitely kid aliens. And, you know, it's just like Stephen King going, just because, okay? No explanation.
Did you ever read, what is it, 11/22/63?
Yeah. Actually, what's funny about that is that the first time I read it entirely in the bookstore. I stood in the bookstore and read it for like an hour.
Oh, wow.
Like,
Yeah, that's another classic Stephen King book where it's actually a really good book until you get to the end. And I found the ending, like, really unsatisfying.
Okay, 2 stints, actually. That's a long one. I did not read that all in 1 stint in the bookstore. But yeah, I read that entirely in the bookstore, which is not easy to do with a book that long. But I did that in like 2 different stints.
Right.
But yeah, I'd probably buy it sometime. It's kind of cool to have. But yeah, really the big ones for me, I guess, are The Stand and It and Salem's Lot, I guess. Some of my favorite vampire stories. Like, you know me, I'm so picky about how you're supposed to do vampires, and like it actually hits the notes for me. Like, yeah.
I'm a big fan of The Dead Zone.
Yeah.
I very much, I don't know why. There's just something, I was actually a fan of the series. And then I actually sought out the movie, so I kind of watched them in the reverse order they came out. And so I sought out the book, and I really, really dug the book. I thought it was great.
I haven't read it in 100 years, but I mean, I remember liking it.
And it takes
Like,
talent.
there's some books I hate. Like, I hate Insomnia. I hate it so much. Like, I was so mad after I read Insomnia. I was like, oh crap. And for anybody that like saw Dreamcatcher, the book is just as stupid. Pretty much, the book is ridiculously stupid.
Yeah.
It's just like it's just you just realize that's what it's like to be that successful as an author, though. You just reach a point where like anything kind of works. Shit weasel, sure, yeah. Master of
The
Horror,
movie
Stephen-
makes the book
if-
better.
I thought Cell was a really good concept.
Yeah, really
and
good
then
concept.
it like went
Unwatchable,
off the
unreadable.
rails in the third act. Like when we start having like psychic zombies, that's where I'm kind of like, I don't know what's happening here.
But I kind of like the
lost
play
track
when
earlier.
Mr. Gray was in his head. I liked how that part was written out. How he was in the movie. It was stupid.
My
It didn't-
mind
it didn't
where
translate
else?
well. It didn't translate
hello,
well, but I
Mr.
thought in the
Gray.
book there
Oh,
were certain
my
things
God.
that did work. The friendship
Yeah.
between the guys. I mean, yeah, it was goofy, but it was fun.
I think in regards to the Dead Zone, I mean, I think Stephen King, you're still hungry as an author, but at the same time, it's like you can already tell he's getting a little bit lazy. I mean, the guy's name is John Smith, for God's sakes,
I think The Dead Zone was one of his like drunk books. It might have been. I think it was something that he wrote, and he doesn't really remember writing it.
Yeah,
Dude,
he's
that's
got like
like-
4 or 5 of those.
There's several like that.
He couldn't even spell cemetery correctly, so there-
That's a really good one.
That was a drunk one. That was a super drunk one.
yeah.
Well, let's move on. What are some of your favorite TV movies, Mike?
I do have a small list here. Some of them you may have already talked about, but we'll see. Now, for me, TV movie, I'm going network television. I didn't go cable, made for cable, because before made for cable, there was made for network television.
Yep.
And I pretty much had abandoned the TV movie thing by the mid-'80s when I started driving. Because it became known in my circles as the disease of the week film. It was like every Monday night there would be a TV movie, and it would be about some affliction or some drama thing, and it just got more and more ridiculous as it went along. And so I bailed on those. But growing up, there were a few that meant something to me, whether they suck or not. The Night Stalker, 1971, which became the Night Stalker television series. Darren McGavin.
That got a mention.
Yep.
I figured
Rambo
it
brought
might.
that up. There you
Figured
go.
it might.
Yeah.
Then Trilogy of Terror.
There you go.
I don't know if that was brought up or not, but the little doll thing was crazy. Helter Skelter.
Yeah.
Stephen Railsback. Was that brought up?
Don't think so.
No, not that one.
I really liked the docudrama, true crime way it was put together, and Railsback was awesome as Manson. That's definitely, if you haven't seen it, check that one out. This was one for me as a little kid that was a big deal. but Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park.
I knew you'd bring that one up.
1978, I was a huge Kiss fan. This was like a couple days after my 10th birthday when this came on TV. I was the perfect age. So yeah, you're looking back on it, it is what it is. But at the time, it was pretty damn amazing. I mean, if you like superheroes and you like music, and you got it all right there with Kiss.
Yeah. I did a Scooby-Doo movie, and isn't it weird that like Kiss meets Scooby-Doo like came out like last year and not like 1977?
Yeah.
And well, Kiss Meets the Phantom is basically a Scooby-Doo episode. I mean,
Yeah, they just follow that sort of template. Yeah.
Yep.
Is that what Family Guy was making fun of? Because I feel like Family Guy had a thing where it's like Kiss saves Christmas. And it was that kind of concept where like they unmask a guy at the end. Like you were kind of like seeing it throughout an episode of Family Guy one time.
Yeah. There's a Family Guy where they do that, like a straight up thing of Scooby-Doo where it's like when they have Rush Limbaugh on. Remember in Rush Limbaugh it says he and John... It was like John McCain and Rush Limbaugh. Yeah, they used to solve mysteries, and it's like it looks almost exactly like actually like where they're at because they're in like this swamp, and it looks almost exactly like where they are in the Boo Brothers movie. I was talking about that because then they're trying to catch somebody, and they're just like, and at the end the Harlem Globetrotters show up.
Yes, they do another one that's the Scooby-Doo murder mysteries, and Fred's like, "That's right, this guy is 1/6 son of a bitch," and I don't know. I always thought that was funny.
Yeah, that's really, really, not to go on a tangent, but that's what I liked about the show originally, and they got away from it, was they used to, like, combine two different things to, like, mix them up, and I like that, because, yeah, it's just like Scooby-Doo, and he's like, ruh-roh, is like, we're looking at 1/6 son of a bitch. It's like some mangled corpse and stuff, just like they did something for, like, they combined Homicide, Life in the Street with Sesame Street.
That was great.
Or, like, Bert and Ernie are in bed together, and the phone rings, and Bert picks it up, and he's like, what? Oh, no. And Ernie's like,
well, and Bert's naked, too.
Yeah.
He's like, naked, and, like, the camera zooms in on his ass, and like on NYPD Blue.
Yeah, pulling on the jeans. And Ernie's like, where are you going? He's just like, some poor bastard got his head blown off in a place called Hoopus.
How did we go from the Night Stalker to Bert and Ernie naked in bed together?
Mike, man. Mike did it all.
This is the magic of this show, guys. Come on.
It's called the Sausage Factory for a reason.
No, I mentioned Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park, and next thing you know, we have gay sex with Bert and Ernie. I don't know. That wasn't me. Maybe Kiss makes people feel that way. Maybe that movie makes people feel extra special. I don't know, but that was my movie, and we ended up there. I know there's another one that I know you guys have probably talked about, Salem's Lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So we've covered that one. Another one that was significant for me in the 80s, considering we were pretty much 2 minutes to midnight most of the 80s with the whole Russian nuclear threat, was The Day After in 1983.
Yep.
That had a big impact on me because you watch that and it's like, holy shit, that could really happen. Like now. That was pretty messed up. Like I said, I gave up on TV movies after that. The next one, The Stand in 94, of course, another Stephen King. You guys probably talked about that one. I did enjoy that.
We didn't really talk about it. I mean, we just sort of name checked
I think,
it.
I'm curious, did we define it as a mini-series or a movie, or do we even care?
Well, I mean, I left it because it was a mini-series, but I mean, it's worth talking about. I really like it.
Let's talk about it.
It's the same writer, it's the same director, all four.
I mean, it's flawed in a lot of ways, but I still really like it.
Well, how I saw it is I rented it on 4 VHS tapes, and I watched them one after the. I watched it all in one sitting.
Yeah, that's what me and Raiho did too.
Yep, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, it held my attention, and maybe the ending was a little goofy, but I thought there was a lot of good characters, and it was very entertaining.
I just really couldn't stand Molly Ringwald being in there. Like, anybody but her, just anybody. Come on, like I don't even care about Fran that much as a character. Like she's not important to me. But
every person I knew in the '90s said, "Did you see The Stand?" I said, "Yeah, I saw The Stand." They said they could not. That opening scene of Don't Fear the Reaper is what got everybody remembering that whole mini. They forgot everything else, but they remember that first hour.
Yeah, pretty good.
Max Headroom was
surprisingly good casting. Like I was really happy with most of the casting of the characters. And
even Parker Lewis is in it.
Yeah.
And he can't lose.
Can't lose.
Yeah. He had some awesome shirts.
What was the crazy guy? Was he the trash can man or the garbage man or some kind of shit?
Man,
or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Bring out your dead.
That was Max Headroom.
Yeah, that was a really good performance too. Like he nails the character really well. My life
Actually,
for you.
weren't we talking about male rape earlier? Doesn't the trash can man get like raped with the butt of a gun in the book? I don't think that was in the miniseries.
That's not even in the original book. You have to get the extended version of the book for that chapter.
I love the behind the scenes featurette for The Stand because it says Mick Garris and Stephen King has brought together actors from Hollywood, movies, TV, and the world of sports with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's interesting. Yeah. Ed Harris in an uncredited role.
And what's her name? From Misery. Kathy Bates.
That's right. She's the radio DJ in Maine.
Yep.
Plays that really well. But yeah, most of them are done really well. But I mean, yeah, some crappy effects and stuff like that. I always really like it. Had a lot of charm.
Yeah.
I had one more. It was from 1997. It was a remake of 12 Angry Men with Jack Lemmon. I really
That's a William Friedkin movie. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was really, really good.
That's
Nice.
a good one.
Jack Lemmon's so underrated, I think, man.
Yeah.
Like everything he does is really good, but nobody really
Glenn
talks
Gary,
about
man.
him.
Like Glenn Gary alone is the best.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I love him for
the
China Syndrome.
Jack Lemmon was one of those actors who there was something so effortless about his acting. Like it never felt like a performance. It felt like he was that guy.
Yeah.
So like that's what I think is remarkable about him, and maybe that's why he seems unremarkable.
Yeah.
Is that it seemed like he wasn't even doing anything. Like he was just the guy.
But I mean, yeah, that's what I really notice about him, especially like in China Syndrome. It's a great movie.
And even his little part in Shortcuts just breaks your heart, So
I didn't see that yet.
Okay. Never mind then.
Your heart remains.
You don't want my heart to be broken.
No.
Well, Mike, you weren't here for the for our little intro. Have you seen any good movies lately that you want to mention?
I saw some previews yesterday that were quite questionable.
Okay.
You might as well say you saw the whole movie.
Yeah, pretty much. The new Alien Covenant movie.
Uh-huh.
Is it a remake of the original? I mean, they sit down on a planet, they find some eggs. Oh boy, one gets on the thing.
It looks like they're staying more on
A, B,
the
C,
planet,
D, E, F, G. It's pretty much the same thing for me. From what I saw.
It's a prequel. It's a prequel that seems to be the first movie remade, essentially.
Yeah.
The Alien series seems to have turned into like a slasher.
But Ridley Scott says he's got the next few of them.
It's like different characters, slightly different setting, same
Ridley
shit.
Scott doesn't have 2 movies left in his lifetime. That's like,
He thinks
shit
makes
money.
Yeah, he does.
He's like 80 years old.
No, yeah, because he said that Alien is not part 2 or part 3. Alien is part 5 of the series, and I'm just like, come on,
He's
we're
gone
not going to
Lucas on us, fellas. He's gone
Oh,
Lucas
no.
on us.
Shit.
Yeah, first Peter Jackson with The Hobbit, and now Ridley Scott.
Hopefully Jar Jar doesn't turn into an alien.
Yeah, I think
Anyway.
Alien Covenant. I mean, I can't judge it before I see it, but I think it's sort of proven that like they've just run out of what to do with it, and it's just turned into a slasher franchise, which I don't want to see. You know,
It looks like an overcompensation for the negativity that he received for Prometheus.
Well, yeah.
That's what I was feeling. He was like overcompensating.
Yeah, it's like you want aliens, I'll shove them down your throat.
Well, there's that, and I also think he's trying to keep Neil Blomkamp from making a movie.
I mean, yeah, I mean, like Cole said, you even have a scene in the trailer, alien kills people in a shower.
Yep.
Must be Jason Voorhees.
Yeah.
I mean, and I liked his last movie, The Martian, with Matt Damon. I thought that was actually really good, and I think he's above this, honestly. I mean, Prometheus, a lot of people didn't like, which I understand. So it's like, well, they want Alien, I'll give them what they want. It's right there in the title, and it's right there in your face. And
I like Prometheus, but I can't defend it. It's like an indefensible thing. I don't even know why I like it.
Prometheus is the one Ridley Scott movie that
I'm never trying to convince somebody that they should like it.
Yeah.
But I saw so many trailers though. But Fast 8. I mean, if you're into the
Jesus.
Fast and Furious films, it looks cut and paste. You'll probably enjoy it. Same people, same kind of shit. Blah blah blah. Whatever.
It's got Kurt Russell in it. I can't hate it.
Yeah. But the movie I saw actually, the feature was Logan.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
No spoilers, but what'd you think?
I'm planning to do that soon.
Oh, that good, huh?
Oh, come on, man.
I enjoyed it.
That's the
I
first
enjoyed it.
negative thing I've heard about it.
Okay.
I did enjoy it, but it's not perfect.
Oh, okay.
I would give it like an 8 out of 10.
Well, that's really good. I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd
so-
take an 8
that's
out of
really
10.
not-
but
That's still good.
you had me worried. I thought you were gonna say it was crap.
Hugh Jackman is amazing. I mean, he should get an Oscar for that performance. I mean, holy shit, he did great. I mean, he holds it together. I I think everybody knows Patrick Stewart's in it, right? You've seen
Yeah.
the previews.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh yeah,
so
I've seen
that's
all
not
the
a big-
commercials and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I spent the first half of the movie wondering why the fuck is he in this movie, and I don't know. Some things happened that kind of redeemed it a little bit, but there was some story elements to it that I don't know. There's some flaws, but overall I did enjoy it, and lots of kick-ass action, and it's a pretty cool take on the character. Although I think it's kind of alternate universe, but whatever.
Yeah.
It was good.
Some of the old man Logan stuff, and yeah. I mean, I'm
So-
cool.
I
That was
don't
actually some
understand. It's like all of a sudden he's old and decrepit, but he's Wolverine. I mean, he heals. I guess maybe it's exploring what happens if he lives 300 years. Eventually, his body will slow down
Yeah,
the
aren't they
healing
saying
process.
like his healing factor's kind of burned out now?
Well,
But,
that's what I was trying to get to when we were talking a little bit earlier, and I mentioned like how I liked how the Fox movies dealt with it. It seems to me like they could just make good stories. So they took the old man Logan concept, and again, I still haven't seen it, but I'm hearing great things. But it's to your point, it's like it doesn't seem to fit in their continuity,
Yeah,
but it's
it doesn't.
okay because they
It's
made a
okay.
good movie.
Right,
So it's a good
exactly.
story, and you want to watch it. I sort of wish some of the other franchises would like. It'd be great to just see a Batman movie that's like a murder mystery, like Batman chasing like the calendar killer or Hush or something, where it's not just this like slam bang action movie with explosions, but like Batman as a detective, like in the shadows, like finding evidence, like doing that. But they'll never do that because like it's always part of some big franchise and we're building towards something bigger or whatever.
I know. There's
I
so
do
many
think
great
that
little arcs that would be so good for a movie, but at least they do animate it a lot, which is nice.
The story
this
does
is good
take
animated
a
Batman.
couple of missteps. I had to groan a couple times, and the ending, I don't know. I guess it's fitting for the story, but I would have done it differently. But it's not my movie. But overall, I guess if you like to see more of a humanistic, struggling Logan, dealing with things he's never had to deal with before, it's Hugh Jackman pulls it off. I mean, a lot of children actors in it. Some of them are good, some of them not so much. But he's good enough to really carry it. So I would say go see it just for his performance. But it's still
Nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna see it,
Still
which
good.
is something considering like I hate all the X-Men movies. But
it'd be interesting to see if you guys pick out the same, perhaps same issues I do.
since I wasn't here for that either, I'll just say the last movie I saw that was new in theaters is I saw the Lego Batman movie, and I just thought it would be important to say that I liked it because I realized that on here, I'm a comic snob and I love Batman, and I'll do a lot of times where I'm wringing my hands saying this isn't good and that's not good and fuck Ben Affleck and they're screwing everything up and don't do this. I don't want people to think I don't have a sense of humor about Batman. I do, and it's nice to see. I like the Lego movie because I wondered like, okay, is this going to work for a whole movie? And I think it mostly does. And it's a lot of fun, and it really does pay tribute to like every version of Batman there is. They like reference all the other movies. They reference the show. Every single Batman villain you can think of, including like the Ten-Eyed Man and Crazy Quilt, at least make an appearance and stuff. There's like at one point where their name is just like, okay, you made some of those up. It's like, no, he didn't. And yeah, it's fun, and it's nice to see Robin in a Batman movie, even if it's just like them making fun of him and Michael Cera's the voice and stuff. I don't know. I like that they actually fucking acknowledge Robin.
Yep.
Instead of like just burying him like he's like some dirty little secret. So I mean, so that's sort of like what the main crux of the movie is about. It's about when he first takes in Dick Grayson as Robin, and the whole simple thing is like, can Batman learn to trust other people? Blah blah blah. Because it's for kids and stuff, pretty simple.
Yeah.
But I just wanted people to know that I thought it was pretty good and I enjoyed it, and I do have a sense of humor about Batman, and I don't always need everything to be perfect and this or that. Like I like what they did. They can be done right. Lots of props to Will Arnett. He's really created a cool version of Batman there. There's some funny stuff. I liked it a lot.
That's
I
good
did
to
want to
know.
address the R rating of Logan. It does earn it. It is a strong R. It's not like a tacked on PG-13 type R.
Right.
It's definitely.
Isn't the first line uttered fuck?
I don't know what said more. His name Logan or fuck. But if you do a drinking game every time they say Logan, you will die before the movie's over. That was one thing that kind of got on my nerves a little bit. But
he was Wolverine at some point. Come on.
I think he's referenced that way a couple times, but it's mainly Logan.
I think that's why it may be alternate timeline, because they never cussed once in the other movies. Now all of a sudden they're dropping F-bombs left, right, and center.
Oh, there's a scene where he goes off. It's hilarious. It's like me when I get pissed off. I was like, holy shit, that sounds like
Well,
me.
he does have one line in remember? In the only one
First Class.
Good,
Go
First
fuck
Class.
yourself.
They just said,
Yes,
That's like the
not-
best use of F word in a PG-13
but not non-stop.
This is
which
pretty
makes it a
pervasive.
little better.
And the gore. I mean, CGI, that kind of, but still, lots of good action.
Nice.
Cool.
That's what you want. So yeah.
Let's go back. Well, let's go back around. Were there any TV movies on your list, Rambo, that we didn't discuss?
Two that popped up in my head. One is Buried Alive by Frank Darabont
Oh yeah.
with Tim Matheson and Jennifer Jason
Oh,
Leigh.
yeah. That was a good one. I forgot he directed
Yeah.
that.
That was made
That's
for
a really good one.
made for USA.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I thought that was really cool, especially how he gets his revenge by making his sort of house into this maze, and because he's a construction worker, and that was really well told, well directed. And
I thought there's a great
Elaborate.
scene. There's a great scene in that where after he claws his way out of his grave, he like goes in the house and his fingers are all just destroyed, and he puts them in this, he's like fills the sink with like peroxide and alcohol, and he just dumps his hand in. I always thought, that's gotta hurt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the DVD for it is only available in England. You have to like import it. So
Oh. Good one.
I
Good
think-
one, Rambo.
Nice.
the other one, it's a made for cable film from '93 called Full Eclipse by Anthony Hickox. It stars Mario Van Peebles, and it's pretty much he's a cop, and Bruce Payne's the villain,
He's a
and
werewolf.
it deals with werewolves.
Good flick.
And it's about how Mario Van Peebles finds out that this police force are also a vigilante unit that also happen to be werewolves.
It's like a
And-
serious wolf cop, though. It's a little
Yeah.
more serious.
And for made for cable film for a limited budget, I had fun. I like Mario Van Peebles. It's also has the girl from Lethal Weapon 2, Patsy Kensit, I believe, and Bruce Payne's the villain. And I thought it was pretty fun. And I like Anthony Hickox. I like his works.
Got to.
I forgot about that one. That's a good one.
I'm about to look into that one. That one sounds good.
Yeah.
What about you, Stingray? Was there any TV movies on your list we didn't discuss?
Sorry, I'm trying to get all these added to my list. Well, I did want to talk about. I don't think we brought this one up yet. The groundbreaking movie that made it okay for men to cry. This is Brian's song.
Yep.
From
Still never seen it. I know it, but
71.
I thought you were going to say Revenge of the Nerds 3.
Nerds in Love.
Shit.
no, that's 4.
Oh, that's right. It's the next generation. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Which one of those was
How
the
could
one
you
that came
mess
with the
that
big
up?
promo? With it was going to be 3D. It was going to be shown in 3D on.
That's 4.
Four.
I think that's the one with Martin Downey Jr., isn't it? Or is that 3?
I'm
Wow.
not sure.
Mark Downey Jr.
wow, man, wow.
Oh, man. Those were the days.
I don't know how we have this knowledge in our heads.
But that was the only one I had left that we hadn't already talked about. But cool movie. James Caan, Billy D. Williams. Of course, a lot of you guys have probably already seen it. Not really something that I'm going to go out of my way to dig up, but it's a solid flick.
Oh, cool. What about you, Eric? Anything on your list we didn't discuss?
Kind of a bundle of things that I didn't want to bring it up initially because it's more tied to existing things, but I kind of wanted to mention like 4 things. So Family Ties, I joked about this with you guys offline, but Family Ties did like a TV movie, and the reason that I call attention to it is that it's a TV movie that it almost seems like it was a completely different production. and it almost doesn't even really fit the characters and like the show that it's based on. Like, it's kind of like the Keaton family goes to, I think, London.
Yep.
And they get caught up in this like international spy thing,
Yeah.
where they have some kind of like secret film and they're spies after. So it's got like action and adventure.
Yeah.
And it's like while it has humor and stuff in it, it almost seems like it's a completely different thing.
Well, there's no laugh track, so it changes
right.
the whole tone.
Right.
It's
Right.
kind of like
And
when
it's just
That
and
happened
again,
with a few,
it's like a
like,
movie
sitcom things. Yeah.
They all did that in NBC. I mean, the Facts of Life.
They turned them into
Well, so, yeah,
adventures.
so the rest of my list is I've got The Facts of Life Go to Paris, which is
Right.
kind of a similar idea.
Right.
And then I jumped on like the Growing Pains reunion from like 2000, so like 10 years after the show ended. And then there was a Facts of Life reunion that was like the same thing. And in that, like, I don't think Kirk Cameron even came back for the Growing Pains one, or if he did, he was in it for like 2 minutes.
DiCaprio
and then
showed up.
Oh yeah, DiCaprio definitely wasn't in it, but I think they made reference to him. But also too, like the thing that I just find interesting about these movies is that they really had almost no tonal relation to like the source material. Like the Growing Pains movie is almost a drama. Like there's nothing funny about it. It's like about very serious kind of stuff. I think maybe the Facts of Life things are probably a little closer to the show. But then the final thing I would mention is kind of a reverse situation, a film franchise that then moved into TV, The Omen 4, The Awakening. I remember like I rented like as a kid, or not a kid, but younger, like I rented like all the Omen movies. And when I got to The Omen 4, I just thought there was something very weird about it. And also too, like The Omen 3 seems like a logical ending.
Like the real, yeah.
It's like they beat him, like he dies, like it's the end.
Omen.
And then The Omen 4 is basically like, oh no, he just restarts again, and now he's a girl.
Dominic.
Both in Gerard.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Halloween
right.
5.
That's right. He's the
And
director.
it came in the initial 20th Century Fox Omen box set, never to be released again on an Omen box set. But that when it first came out, Omen 4 was included, but not in the Blu-ray. Now they include
the only way you can get it.
The remake.
That's
Yes. Yeah.
That's interesting.
So Cameron, and
director
this is
got fired,
Wikipedia, so that could be BS, but it says it's directed. It has 2 directors listed. Some guy named Jorge Montesi.
Because Dominic got fired during it, so
Spanish language version.
That's
we made up a name.
I
Yeah,
bet he got fired. He's terrible.
Well, look, I've got it. Look, I'm a little upset with you guys that nobody's brought up Saved by the Bell Hawaiian Style.
We were saving
I
that.
have seen it.
I was thinking Saved by the Bell, The Wedding.
Didn't we talk about it earlier? I thought we did.
But I mean, we need to talk about it. This is Saved by the Bell.
I've seen it probably 20 times. Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
Like
that's
high school
how
age
that's,
Leah Remini. You got to be kidding me, of course.
to this day, I know Leah Remini does the whole thing about Scientology now. I still look at her and think Saved by the Bell.
Yeah.
So
When she, it took me a while to transition, like, because I loved King of Queens.
Well, now, was that one? That one wasn't the movie with Leah Remini. The movie is when Zach and Kelly got married.
Well, I thought Hawaiian Style was like in a movie format, or was it just like
There was-
I think
multiple
it was like
episodes?
a 2 episodes.
Yeah, there was like a
I'm pretty sure I saw it like that way.
yeah, there was the thing with Leah Remini was like a we're talking about alternate timelines. Saved by the Bell had kind of an alternate timeline too. Well, actually had a couple of different alternate timelines.
Let's get into it here, guys.
Yeah, let's talk about this. What's
Let's
going
talk
on here?
about Saved by the Bell here.
Yes.
Okay?
real
Okay.
talk
So
here.
the-
Real
so
talk.
the Saved by the
When we're
Bell.
going to get to the college years.
I have
Saved by the Bell,
I would assume.
is one of my favorite TV themes. I just want to make that abundantly clear. I still hum that song to myself.
$4.99, you can get the whole college years on Vudu. That's what I did. So.
Screech and Mr. Building, they stayed, right? The other guys, they went to college. At that
No,
point, they
Screech
kept
went to
the
college
early
and then he
morning
went back.
But that one, oh my god, who's the guy that does the Tonight Show now?
Me Fallon?
Yeah, when he did that Saved by the Bell thing like a year and a half ago,
That was
oh my
awesome.
god, and everyone looked exactly the same. And Kelly comes running down in her cheerleading outfit. I was like, oh my god.
That was
Well, that
awesome.
would make me
You guys
sad.
should. It
'Cause
was
I know what she looked like 6 years ago. So man,
yeah.
sad.
Well,
That's
I mean,
alright.
just think when this movie was made, like the same year, Elizabeth Berkley was stripping and doing nudity in that one movie.
Showgirls.
Showgirls, yeah.
Yeah.
Great movie.
And grinding on that dude's like upper chest area.
Dude, if you
Kelly
were
Laughlin.
if you
That's some very
Jay,
weird
Jay,
but
if
memorable
you were
sex.
asked, Jay, if you were
Oh my
asked to
God.
star in a $50 million Paul Verhoeven movie, I think you would grind on some poles too.
Hey. I can do it for a lot less than 50 million. I'm
But
cheap.
there was like a I want to say it was several episodes where like Zach and some of the gang were in Hawaii doing some kind of, I don't even remember, but like Leah Remini and her dad were like they owned
a
It was
resort.
like summer break.
they owned a resort. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like it was summer break. Yeah.
Yeah, like they got a trip. Like basically, they could go to Hawaii, but the way they went is they were part of this like summer resort thing, and so
they were employees at the summer.
that's right. They
resort.
were employees there, and so like the guys like just working them really hard. They can't really enjoy it, but Zach falls in love with Leah Remini.
Yes.
All I gotta say is, why didn't Married with Children ever make a TV movie? That would have been the greatest thing ever. Married with
So, yeah,
Children,
that
go to
was-
London.
Giving it a nice R rating.
Yeah.
So that was like, we always got Saved by the Bell like the school years. This was like the summer vacation.
Yeah, it was presented
Yes.
as a 2-hour movie on NBC.
Yep.
So, but it could be split in later. It was split into 4 regular
Exactly.
length episodes.
Yeah,
but
right.
I saw it as a movie.
Yeah, me too.
Whereas The Wedding really is, I think, a TV movie. Like that doesn't really
Yeah,
get
it was.
split up. That's like viewed as like an hour and a half thing.
And aren't we forgetting the intro with the song by Will Smith and DJ Jazzy Jeff?
Oh
That's
my
in the
God!
intro.
Yes, that was the intro. Yes, summertime.
Summertime.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, the
Takes me back.
90s. Woo!
I saw not long after like Saved by the Bell went away. I saw some kind of talking about TV movies, Lifetime TV movies. It was like a Lifetime TV movie with Mark Paul Gosselaar in it, where like him and his wife were like they were destitute or something. And like one day he comes home with this big wad of cash and he's like giving it to his wife. And she's like, "No, we don't need this money." And he goes, "You don't know what I had to do for that money." And I was just like, "No, Zach, no."
He was on NYPD Blue in its last few seasons. So you got some Zach Morris ass on network TV there a couple of times.
He changed his hair color and nobody knew who the fuck he was. So.
Yeah, well, see, it was interesting because he went to NYPD Blue, and then Luke Perry from 90210 went to Oz, and so
That's
he did
right.
a lot of, yeah.
And he was terrible on Oz, by the way. That show, like, I was glad. Like, I think they killed his character quick because I think they realized he wasn't working.
And Slater went to go host some dumb bullshit on like daytime television.
He now runs
Slater has
Entertainment
not
Tonight.
aged. Mario Lopez has not aged since Saved by the Bell. I don't know what's up with him.
What happened to the chick? I can't remember her name who played Lisa. Because I always thought she was really cute. Thank you. Lark Voorhees. Like, I thought she was really cute. And I remember she appeared on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air once. She was, like, in love with Carlton. And it was actually a really kind of a neat They almost got married or something.
She dropped out of the entertainment industry. I think she either found religion or something happened to her.
Had
and
some babies or some dumb shit.
Yeah, so I don't remember. Yeah, it was just, I think it had something to do with her religion that she just dropped out of acting in Hollywood altogether.
Okay.
That's the only way she could escape Screech.
There you go.
We are being yelled at in the comments about don't confuse the Saved by the Bell episodes. We need to get that shit together.
All right, let's take it back to the beginning, guys.
Hold on. Let's figure out
All
the
right,
timeline.
let's talk about
think about
Project
this.
Elf.
What about the
Okay.
episodes with Jesse? Or not
Good-
Jesse, Tori.
Tori.
Good morning, Miss
leather
Bliss. Let's
jacket.
take it
That
off.
was,
All right, let's do it.
that was the senior year. That was the senior year.
What
When
happened to Kelly?
Hills forever.
Kelly and
I actually
Jesse.
remember that.
Kelly and Jesse had left to go. They'd left to go do movies. They'd left to go become Hollywood stars. So they brought in
Right.
Tori, and that was like the senior year at Bayside High, as I recall.
But they did graduation episodes with Kelly and like they like graduated the year before.
I think they.
Now you guys are
It
all
was not a well put together show.
you guys watch Saved by
They
the Bell,
never
and I
thought they'd be as popular as they were.
Dark.
They had they were not prepared for it actually being like a successful show.
But
so-
are you guys true masochists? Did you guys watch California Dreams too?
Yes.
I mean,
Is this
No,
one
I did
Tiffany
not.
Amber
One of the
Thiessen
reasons I know
went
this
on
is, like,
to
Did you watch?
Did you watch
Saved by the Bell, the unauthorized story? Because I did, and I.
Did you watch Good Morning Miss Bliss, which is where it really all started?
Yeah, of course, Haley Mills.
Yep.
Love her. I wish she was my teacher.
Oh God, I just remember California Dreams now.
Also think about how when they
remember that.
changed it from Good Morning Miss Bliss to Saved by the Bell, Good Morning Miss Bliss was not set in Bayside. It was set completely on the other side of the country.
They were junior high.
Yeah.
They were in
So
junior
think
high.
how fucking weird Zach Morris's life is. He moves to California and is followed by several students and the principal just to set up his new life there. Like it's so bizarre.
So I went to Syracuse, and when I was there, Mr. Belding came to campus one time and was like the MC for some like variety show or something that was put on by the university. And like whenever he would come out, I remember I just felt really bad for him because like all he talked about was Saved by the Bell, and he was like calling out to the crowd like, "Okay, name your favorite episode." And I remember like the loudest person yelled, "Jesse does drugs." And it was just like the whole place broke up. Yeah,
The greatest scenes in the history of TV.
Yep.
Mike, what's your favorite episode of Saved by the Bell?
I don't have one.
I like the
just
one
love the whole series, right?
where he hallucinates a possible future where he becomes a rock star, and he looks like, because they form a band, like they're a garage band,
The
and
Zack
he
Attack.
hallucinates a future where they get really famous, and then but of course he decides to go solo. And you should just look up a clip of it because you will laugh until you pass out when you look up a clip of what Zach dresses up as to like do his solo performance. It's like
I'm familiar
Vanilla
with the show.
Ice crossed with Grandmaster Flash. It's insane.
Well,
'Cause I knew people that were into it. I had a friend whose girlfriend was all about Saved by the Bell, and when he became my roommate, I had to sit through a couple episodes of
Yeah,
it.
you were too old.
Well,
I was a
had
little
brain.
too old for it, though,
Yeah.
so
It
it,
was-
didn't really resonate with me.
See, I was a
And it
little
was
kid,
weird,
so
too,
I was
'cause-
like most people. I was a little kid, and I was like, "Wow, I can't wait to go to high school where like there's beautiful girls that talk to you, and you're never in class." I was like,
And then
"High
we'll hang
school's
out at
gonna
the
be
Max
awesome."
afterwards.
And it played at like what 10 a.m. in the morning on Saturdays. It was
Yeah.
it was right in the middle of the cartoons. So
Always like the timeout. All right, timeout.
Oh yeah,
I'll be like, man, I'll be filling up the girls and stuff. It'd be awesome.
come on, Zach. You have amazing powers. Take advantage of it. I know.
Cell phone
I was
is
always going in through girls' windows at night. Geez, Zach's kind of a dangerous character.
Remember when he had the subliminal messages he played, and like all the girls wanted him in that like commercial jingle he did or something like that?
That I don't.
It's like, oh man, that's such a great idea.
I'll have to look it up. And like every other episode, like he and Slater or he and what's his name are like in the girls' locker room. They're constantly in the
That's
girls'
true.
locker room.
That's true.
It's
Yeah.
just glory holes all over the place.
Stop shattering our innocence.
and before Saved by the Bell, we had silver spoons. So
Do you guys
Too
remember-
young
I
for
mean-
that one.
My world was shattered. The episode where Zach and Slater actually got into a fist fight over Kelly. Because I was
I
like, no,
remember
you
that
guys
one.
are friends. No, you guys are friends. No.
Don't
Yeah.
do it, Preppy.
Yeah.
And I
That
remember
show-
Mr. Belding had to sit them down and remind them that they're best friends and
Yeah.
make it all better.
I mean, of all the shows of that era with their stupid like laugh tracks and stuff, that had like the most obnoxious studio audience in history. Everything excited and titillated them. Anytime there was a kiss or Slater took off his shirt, everyone was like, "Woo!"
and it was live. It was a live audience. That wasn't a laugh track. They actually had an audience there.
Well, do you?
And they were like, what did they give them before the shooting started? Did they like just?
But the best audience ever is Married with Children.
Big bad.
Because they would liquor that audience up. So every time Al Bundy walked in the door, it was like, yeah! You know?
Yeah.
Especially in like the later seasons of the show, the audience was almost like a character on the show. The way they'd react to some stuff.
You can always tell when it's live because the actors have to wait for it to die down before they say their line. So sometimes it'll be kind of an uncomfortable silence where they'll walk through ready to say their line and they'll have to wait a minute. They're waiting, and then they start.
You can look up on YouTube certain scenes from certain sitcoms where they just pull the laugh track out. Like, there's this great bit where it shows like an episode of Big Bang Theory where they just take the laughter out and all it is them just like quietly insulting each other while silence hangs in the air, and it's so awkward and terrible, and just like none of these people are friends. They all hate each other. They're just sitting around and stuff and just sniping at each other, and since there's no laugh track, it's just silence, and they just sort of look at each other. It's amazing.
Well, I'm surprised nobody watching Married with Children live when Christina Applegate came onto the set. They didn't run to her to attack her or something.
No, it's like, oh, look at her hot pants.
Well, between Kelly Bundy
Applegate for that show.
Between her and then Bud Bundy, I mean, like, man, they worshipped every character on that show, and it was just those later seasons with Jefferson and Marcy. Oh my God, it's the greatest television ever.
Yeah. All right, let me ask you guys this. I'm gonna start with Cole. Kelly Kapowski or Kelly Bundy?
Ooh, Kapowski.
Okay. What about you, Stingray?
Kapowski.
Rambo?
That good girl thing going on.
That is Kapowski.
That's a tough question, though. I'll give you that.
Yeah, because Kapowski, you're dating for a while. Kelly Bundy's a one night.
Yeah, she's.
Wait, how old is she? Kelly Kapowski? Is it like in high school for like forever?
15.
Yeah, is she Kelly Kapowski from that NBC TV movie where she's like sleeping with the dude in the hot tub?
Okay,
That's
so
the one I
be
want.
arrested for that too. So that's great. Years old, I'm gonna be arrested.
No pedo here, buddies. No pedo.
18? No. 17 and 3/4.
The actresses are over 18. So.
Let's see, Eric, Kapowski or Bundy?
It's tough. You have to. It has to be what you're into, because you're right. It's Kelly. Kelly Bundy's a one night stand, whereas Kapowski's a longer term deal. I think I'll go with Kelly Kapowski because she's a brunette, and I think I'm not a. I like blondes, but
cheerleader.
Probably that's what breaks the tie.
I'm noticing that all of us are going to fight for Kapowski. We got to remember we're friends, guys. We're friends.
All right, Mike, Kapowski or Bundy?
I guess I'll be having a hell of a party with Kelly Bundy while you guys fight over the other one. Guaranteed good time. Never turn down a sure thing, fellas. Listen
You're
to
going to have to get a lifetime subscription to Valtrex.
There's his words of wisdom right there.
Do you want a long, extended point of frustration and unfulfillment, or do you want to get right to it? That's what I'm talking about.
Here's the best
want
part.
it to burn when you
I
urinate.
don't know. I'm a bit of a romantic. I don't mind the case.
If Mike is hanging out with Kelly Bundy, there's a chance he might get to hang out with Sam Kinison. So that's cool.
That's fun.
Added benefit.
Oh, that's awesome.
What the hell was this show about? Because I don't.
Saved by the Bell.
This is the most captivating discussion we've ever had on this program.
Yeah. So when you write the caption for this show, just use Cole's quote. What was this show about?
This is right up there with Cole lecturing us about the Babysitters Club, that episode.
Yes,
Oh my lord.
yes.
Oh, was it lecturing? Was I?
Yeah.
So was that
Those were
your
good times.
was that your wise words with B Movie Mike this week? Is to never pass up a sure thing?
There you go.
I don't think you can top that. Yeah.
Nope.
There you go. There you go.
And just getting onto that whole thing about like people following you, it was the same thing for like Boy Meets World. Like Corey Matthews' life just never changes. No matter how old he gets, his friends and his girlfriend and his teacher, then principal, follow him through life.
Then college professor.
Yes, like at this point, I'd be like, Mr. Feeney, you've been a great role model and mentor, but now I'm just sort of freaked out because I think you're stalking me. And
I agree with that.
Our chat is on the side of Kelly Bundy. Although Holiday Styles says Ted Bundy needs to come in and stop this podcast now.
Well, let's go. Does anybody? Were there any TV movies on anybody's list that we didn't discuss?
I just want to throw out. We've mentioned it many times, but just want to throw it out. It was 1990 was the return of the TV movie. It had died for a while. And then 1990 kind of brought it back with it, and then that started the whole 90s Stephen King resurgence.
Okay, but there was no child orgy, so I just don't know that it qualifies.
And you gotta stay true to the source material no matter what, right?
and I really like the commentary that's on the DVD and Blu-ray.
It's kind of embarrassing when they tried it with that 2009 Children of the Corn. Remember? They were like, we're gonna reuse real kids this time. But,
Well, the commentary on the It is great because they really praise the first half and then they really go into what went wrong with the second half. So hopefully the new version will correct that back part. So and include a child orgy, I guess, for Eric.
Does the does that commentary, is that with Tommy Lee Wallace? Who else is a part of that commentary?
I believe it's the whole cast and Tommy Lee Wallace.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's on the DVD and Blu-ray, so whichever version you have. So
cool.
Yeah.
Not to switch tone too much, no, I'm not going to get a big discussion on it, but there's a pretty good adaptation of Death of a Salesman made for TV in 1985, starring Dustin Hoffman as Willie Loman, and it is really good. The problem is I love John Malkovich, and actually he was in another one of my favorite, and again, adaptations of Tennessee Williams play. One of my favorite plays, oh, why can't I think? But then, The Glass Menagerie. But anyway, he's great as Tom in The Glass Menagerie, but he plays Biff in this. And if anybody's familiar with, maybe you did it in school or something, Death of a Salesman, like John Malkovich, even a young John Malkovich, is just a terrible choice for Biff. It's so because Biff's supposed to be like a jock. And they're trying to make it play out that and they put a sports jacket on him and stuff, he's this really great athlete, and you're I don't really think that John Malkovich is believable as a great football player and stuff like that. But it's still a really good adaptation, and for people that like Dustin Hoffman, it might be one of the things that they haven't seen. It's pretty good.
Malkovich was a great multiple murderer though, as Cyrus the Virus Grissom in Con Air.
Oh hells yeah.
Fake TV movie hashtag. That's a real movie, Eric.
Sorry. Well, we're talking about Malkovich. It's a different thing.
Batgirl Fanatic 84 just mentioned Psycho 4, which is what, Bates Motel?
Oh,
there you go. That's a good
Batgirl
one.
Fanatic too.
I meant to mention that one.
Ask Batgirl Fanatic which Batgirl. I actually prefer Cassandra Cain because I'm weird. I like them when they don't talk.
Well, if Psycho 4 was a TV movie, where did it air? Because Psycho 4 has nudity and stuff in it.
Showtime.
Oh, it was a Showtime movie? Okay.
Yep.
Actually, I always thought Psycho 4 was really good.
Well, there was another Psycho TV movie.
Anthony Perkins just kept showing up.
Bates Motel. That was for NBC.
Okay. Yeah. I remember that one.
Is it not the same thing? Okay. Maybe I haven't seen Psycho 4 then.
The Bates Motel 1985, I think it was. It was a pilot for a TV series about a couple that gets the Bates Motel, and it didn't go to series, so they just aired the pilot as a 2-hour movie. Yeah. And Psycho 4 came out in 1990. It's written by, of course, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's written by the original Joseph Stefano. He's the original screenwriter of Psycho. It's interesting, Eric. You'd like it too because CCH Pounder from The Shield is in it. Yep. Warren Frost from Twin Peaks is in it. It's got Olivia Hussey playing the mom. Come on,
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it a few times because but back when I was a kid and I would rent horror, I'd rent Halloween, I'd rent Friday the 13th. I eventually got onto Psycho, so I rented Psycho 1, 2, 3, and then I got to Psycho 4.
Right.
And Psycho 4 just is a really interesting concept. It's kind of like Norman Bates telling the story of his life. But what I like about it is it's he actually, spoiler alert, but he actually kind of comes out okay in the end, which is not the ending I think would typically happen in that movie. It's sort of like Norman Bates got a wife, and I think he finds out his wife is pregnant, and he fears that he's just going to end up killing her. But I think at the end he doesn't. He kind of works his way through it, and again, I'm not describing it great. That doesn't sound like a fantastic movie, but it's quite good.
Yeah.
Doesn't Henry Thomas play a young Norman Bates in that?
Yeah. Yep. And the Blu-ray from Scream Factory. Oh my God! Listen, it looks like Suspiria. That's how good the colors are in that thing. So,
yeah.
Oh, directed by Mick Garris, by the way.
Yep.
Psycho 4.
Anthony Perkins.
Right after Critters 2. Yeah, he wanted to direct Psycho 4, and Showtime said no because I guess they had seen Psycho 3. So.
I don't like Psycho 3. I think it's fun.
No, I know, but that was the reason. Mick Garris says on the commentary track that Showtime said, no, Anthony, you're not doing this after Psycho 3. And
Psycho 3 is, again, it's fun for what it is, but it's kind of a mess.
Doesn't it have a nun running around in there?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just remember.
And there's Lee homages with her, and it's this whole weird thing.
I just remember Jeff Fahey with like the lights in front of his crotch, and
Yep. Jeff
Love
Fahey
Jeff
has
Fahey.
this totally crazy sex scene in that movie with some chick like bouncing all around a hotel room. It's so stupid.
That's all I remember about it. Well, that and like one victim is like stuffed into the ice cooler, and like the cop is reaching in and pulling out ice and eating it. Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Well, wait a
Somebody gets,
second.
like,
Is that
killed
Psycho
with a
3 or
guitar,
Psycho
too.
2?
Somebody gets like smashed with a guitar.
that's 3. I'm pretty sure, isn't it?
2 is the ice.
It
Two
is because
Okay.
oh,
Okay.
is it?
I thought so.
Yeah, it's one. Yeah, okay, I can't remember. That's
I
how
can't
interchangeable
remember.
they
I thought it was 3, but I guess I'm wrong. I definitely remember Fahey with the lights in that scene in 3. It's hard to forget.
Yep.
Dwayne Duke.
Oh, goodness gracious. Is there anything in closing that we want to say about TV movies before we wrap things up this week?
Are TV movies dead now?
I think they've been reborn as like Netflix features
Yeah.
and Amazon features, right?
Straight to video.
Like HBO has taken them too.
I mean, they're different. I mean, they've evolved
They
into
don't-
something different.
Because they don't really do, the special, Sunday night movie on ABC. They don't air that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
No.
That stuff
the,
I vaguely remember. It
the
was
Monday night
kind of
movie.
interesting. Yeah, it was like kind of an event.
Yeah, I don't see any TV movies like on the major
Yeah.
networks anymore.
I mean, nothing's an event anymore. Right?
I mean, you guys
There's
all
no such
brought
thing
up
as Saturday morning cartoons anymore.
Exactly. You guys brought up The Day After. One more I just want to throw out. I never really watched it, but I remember it being an event. It was in the 80s. It was called America. Amerika.
The one about where they lost the war.
Yeah, we lost the war and
alternate
Russia took
history
over
one.
America.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and that was a big talking water cooler thing, as they say. So yeah, I mean, it's not only were they big event movies, but they were meant to create conversations, and
Right.
it was like the Thorn Birds and that kind of shit.
Water cooler movies, yeah.
You don't really even see networks in prime time. I think they do it sometimes in the middle of the day, but you don't even see them run like just movies anymore.
Yeah.
Like I remember Fox when I was a kid. I remember they had this like 2-night event, Jaws and Jaws 2. And I remember like just again, even though I'd seen it a million times and I had the VHS, I still watched it. But I don't think like networks don't even waste that time doing that anymore.
There used to be like the Dialing for Dollars movie thing, 1 to 3, and then the great thing is that I saw Halloween 2 because in the early 80s, between 3 and 5, before the news started, they would play a movie.
Yeah.
And this is before Oprah started and all that, right? And I'm telling you, Halloween 2 time, and I didn't even know it was a part 2. So I just thought the movie just began with these kids running out of a house screaming, and this boogeyman guy getting shot 6 times. I was just like, what kind of movie starts like this? It was horrifying. So
I think cable took it away from the networks, and the internet's taking it away from cable.
yeah.
It's just a transition, like you talked about with Netflix. But at least we're getting commercial free, unrated entertainment now on Netflix. We don't have to deal with all the commercials and all the censorship and all the bullshit that went along with network television film.
Yeah.
Right.
So if Netflix buys the movie or whatever and they put it on their channel, is that considered a TV movie? I mean, like, what does it say on IMDb?
That's a good question.
I don't think it is
I
considered.
don't think it would be now.
Well, if it was a Netflix original movie, I guess we could maybe call it a TV movie.
Yeah, it will be
That's what I'm
nominated
saying.
for
I'm saying that's what it evolved into.
Yeah, that's kind of what it's become.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
If
I mean,
something-
the other thing, about TV movies is like, they were made with that in mind. So not just content and stuff, but they would have logical breaks for where the commercials would come in and stuff like that.
Right.
I think Netflix is also doing a hybrid, though, because they're signing people to multi-picture deals almost like they're a production studio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If something plays on Netflix, it can be nominated for an Emmy. But if that's why you can't play a movie on Netflix and have it be nominated for an Oscar. It still has to play in a movie theater for at least 2 weeks.
Yep.
Right.
So,
I mean, I think HBO also has taken up the mantle of this because, like, what was it? They did that Sarah Palin movie. They did the Larry David movie I mentioned. They did. Let's see, I had it on the list. But like, they make movies all the time.
yeah.
And I think if we're allowing Netflix movies, I mean, I'd say that the HBO movies qualify as well. what about like the Sci-Fi Channel stuff, like the really schlocky,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
stupid,
I
like
mean, it's for a channel,
Placid
so it's
versus
TV, right?
Anaconda or whatever.
Sharknado 1 through 4.
Yeah.
On.
Yeah, I don't even know if those are movies.
Kind of.
They're
Yeah. Speaking of the
Barely
Odyssey,
entertaining.
I saw one that was like loosely based on the Odyssey. It was like Odysseus versus and I don't even remember what it was. Some monster they made up that's not even like in Greek mythology just because they wanted to do it. And I was like, holy shit.
Well, I was going to ask, what's the worst made-for-TV movie you've seen?
I don't know. One of the worst, and I wanted to bring it up anyway. This is a good segue. Is it's pretty bad, but it's worth seeing to me because it was shot in Halifax here, and it was shot principally around a big high school here. It's a 2004 made-for-TV movie called "She's Too Young," and it's like every terrible after-school special like thing crammed into one movie because it's supposed to be about like this girl and how like she's hiding like her life from her parents. Like she pretends like she's a good student, but she's actually living like this life where like she and like her friends are doing all these drugs and drinking and going to parties and having sex, and everything's just like so over the top and ridiculous, and it's so shoddy and shitty. But you should look it up, and then you can see like some of the stuff that's in Halifax and stuff. And it was partly inspired by like there's some sort of syphilis outbreak in Atlanta with like among students, and everyone was like, "Oh, the students are all having sex and stuff like that." But it's this really like schlocky, terrible movie and stuff. But I of course get a kick out of it because it has like familiar locations and stuff for me. So it's kind of worth looking for if you enjoy like the cheesiness of those after school specials, because like it's not realistic at all. It's just like, oh, look at these out of control teens. It's pretty bad.
I don't
the
know,
girl
man.
is that. The girl is like the naked chick from that Bill Murray movie. The one where he's just like standing there and she just like walks out completely naked past him.
So hot.
Broken Flower.
Broken Flowers, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I went
Alexis.
Alexis
high school with some people like that.
Ziznia, I don't know how to say it.
Did you guys ever see one called The Wave when we were younger? When you were younger, where like a teacher like his class doesn't understand anything about like how the Nazis were created, and he basically turns his whole class into Nazis.
that was real. Like that happened.
Yeah.
One
Yeah, I've seen that.
that nobody mentioned that was on my list was Dark Knight of the Scarecrow.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even
really
think I
good.
realized that was TV, but yeah. I've seen not all of it, but I've seen some of it.
Pretty good.
Well, that was in the 70s when TV wasn't afraid to be scary.
Yeah. Was Logan's Run a TV movie, or was that an actual
Movie.
Was that a movie?
Yeah.
I saw it on TV. That was the only place I ever saw it. So in my mind, it was always it felt like a TV movie. So
It probably spawned a few TV movie imitators because there were a lot of movies that were sort of like really just sort of rip-offs of it. So that's possible too.
We've had a very lively live chat tonight as well, and I want to thank some of the folks who's hung out with us this entire time. Holiday Styles, Jerp Pin, some little noob named Orc 145626, Holiday Styles, the Cartoon Man 13, Canius, the V. Let me scroll on up here because I saw some others. I saw our buddy Chris had joined us tonight as well. Joey Yun. Let's see. That's about as far as I can scroll up this chat. Max Punishment, if I didn't mention him, of course. So, yeah. I think we've pretty much covered the bases here. I hope everybody enjoyed this show about Saved by the Bell. I mean, the TV movie. But yeah, definitely a fun show, interesting chat. Yeah. So anyway, let's go ahead and we'll sign off. Stingray, do you have anything in your spotlight tonight that you want to shine the spotlight on?
Yeah, man. I really hate to break up the Saved by the Bell talk, but I wanted to talk about a director named Andy Sedaris. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with him, but I brought this up I don't know, a month or so ago to Rambo, because I thought he may enjoy some of these movies. They're like the perfect. It's like well, I'll just say this: there's a set on Amazon for like $6 that is called Girls, Guns, and G-Strings.
Love it already.
And it's 12 movies of this guy. that, I mean, it's basically like one every year from like 85 through like 95, probably something like that. But he takes Playboy Playmates and Penthouse pets and puts them in movies and gives them like big guns and they blow shit up and show their titties and all this. Anyway, it's lots of really fun stuff. Eric Estrada's in there.
Of course.
It's just so many actors that,
Richard Greco.
see, Pat Morita's in there.
Wow.
Mr. Miyagi?
Wax on, wax off.
They got some great titles. Picasso Trigger.
But,
Like, what the
check some of these
hell?
out, guys. Like,
Picasso
seriously.
Trigger? Like, what could that possibly be?
That's a fish. That's a name of a fish.
Oh, okay. Sure.
It's a Picasso trigger fish. But anyway,
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
that's a big part of the movie, believe me.
I believe you. It's the title.
But fun stuff. I just think you guys will get a big kick out of it. Fun to watch with a group of people. and stuff.
Are we gonna get a Jay the Stingray retrospective? on
Okay,
your
Savage
channel?
Beach has possibly the best cover movie poster I've ever seen. Look for the movie poster of Savage Beach.
To tell you the truth, I've been quite inebriated when I've watched all these movies, so I don't really remember that much. So, yeah, good stuff. Check it out. You guys would like it.
Is it Savage Beast or Savage Beach?
Beach.
Savage Beach.
Okay.
Okay.
Quite the poster.
I feel like that's kind of made the rounds on like Cinemax or something. Savage
I'm sure.
Beach.
I'm sure it probably has.
That's a great poster. There's like a samurai.
Like a ninja specter in the background. Amazing. So artistic.
It sold me.
You said you got all 12 movies for $6?
Mm-hmm. It's at Target and Walmart. You can get it anywhere online. I went
Well, that's just
and
value.
I actually ordered this some deep discount so my wife wouldn't see what I was ordering. from Amazon. So it's got that
Wow,
going
he
for
used
it.
to direct episodes of the Hardy Boys / Nancy Drew mysteries in the 70s.
Well, there you go.
That was
The
good.
Andy Sidaris collection this week on Stingray Spotlight.
Highly recommended.
Well, guys, let's go ahead and let's call it a show. Big thanks to everybody who joined us tonight, everybody who tuned in and watched the show and participated in the chat, and thanks to everybody who joined me here on the show as well. Hope you guys learned a lot about TV movies and made a list and go check out some really good TV movies. So, yeah, we'll see you guys again very soon. Take care. Have a great week, and peace.
See you later.
Later.
I'm off to look old pictures of Tiffany Amber Tyson.
Kapowski or Bundy? Ask
By
yourself.
the,
that
by
question.
the way, I did not answer, but I'm going Kapowski all the way.
Kapowski.
There you go.
Kapow!